John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas. This is Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Well, just another day being a Philadelphia sports fan.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy happening.
Tuesdays, nothing's going on.
Oh, wait, the Eagles won, and that's not the story. Again, it's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
Was this a down game against a bad team, or did we see what could be flaws for the Eagles, specifically in the passing game?
The reason you're in one-score games in the fourth quarter with three of the worst teams in football is because of the fact that your offense can't get rolling early in a game.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Tuesday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside my man, John Kincade. Johnny, you ready?
Yeah, did you navigate the fog well this morning there, Killer?
Yes, I did navigate the fog well.
Not well, you didn't. Not well, you didn't.
One bunny rabbit, R.I.P. to Mr. Rabbit.
That's a precursor to maybe the 4 hours we're about to share today.
Yeah, we're about to be navigating not just fog, but a bleep storm, maybe. We'll see how this unravels. But there could be some trouble in paradise for the second straight year when the Eagles have a very impressive record. Now, the 11-2 Eagles look nothing like the 10-1 Eagles from 2023. Let's get that out
so nobody misrepresents.
They are much better on offense. They are much better on defense. They are much better coached by the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. But this talking point of culture that we always give Nick Sirianni credit for, I wonder what happened to that culture last year and what could happen to the culture this year. So, look, we are not naive. There's a couple of other areas of sports talk in this town. And
there are.
BG, Brandon Graham, had some things to say about the Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown situation. Yes. So let's explain the situation before we get to any of our questions today. So if you remember, the Eagles beat the Panthers on Sunday, but it was ugly. It was an Xavier Leggett drop away from the Eagles falling to 10-3.
It wipes out, and I thought a lot of people said it will, it wipes out we are one Saquon Barkley catch away from having one loss.
Right. I always hate that.
It made it up.
No,
it fixed it.
Because anything can happen in games.
Correct.
One thing changes, you win. One thing changes, you lose. If Xavier Leggett makes that catch, wide open, by the way, the Panthers could have won that football game. Eagles still would have had a chance to go downfield to try to win it. But remember,
to kick a field goal?
They didn't have faith in Jake Elliott. So the Eagles win the game. But Jalen Hurts throws for 108 yards. And the very first play from the line of scrimmage, A.J. Brown is wide open for what would have been a walk-in touchdown pass as long as the pass was thrown correctly. And Jalen Hurts looks at him and then hesitates. And as soon as you hesitate, you realize you miss a step. So let me check it down to Jahan Dotson. What would have been a 70-yard touchdown was a 5-yard check down pass to Jahan Dotson. And pretty much the entire game, A.J. Brown was a non-factor. 4 catches for 43 yards, his lowest total in the season.
And he only had 4 targets.
And he only had 4 targets. So all 4 targets were completed for just 43 yards. So after the game, A.J. Brown spoke to the media. And he was asked right away, what's one of the biggest things that needs to be worked on? And he said passing, the passing game. And a lot of people wanted to say that was not a direct quote toward Jalen Hurts.
Right.
I believe that it was. You believe that it was. And we've since gotten more information.
Yeah, who passes the football?
Yeah.
The stop. The people who are trying to spin it any other way. Who passes the football?
And if A.J. Brown wasn't open every single play, then maybe you could say it was Kellen Moore and maybe he didn't like the direction of the offense. However, he was open. He was schemed open. So he was talking strictly about the quarterback. And so you and I then talked about it during the show yesterday that he's allowed to say that, especially because of his relationship with Jalen Hurts.
Correct.
Sometimes your best friends can be more critical of you than a stranger, right? Because
they can get away. There are things that my best friends and my brother or whatever could say to me that I would never take offense to. How about this? I would never take long-term offense to.
Right.
Short-term.
Right. Short-term,
all bets
you're
are
pissed
off.
off. But then,
all bets are off.
But then once you calm down.
Yes, then you go, okay.
You're
this
on the
person
same
is,
page.
Exactly.
Now maybe you're not on the same page. So BG had some things to say about Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. And since then, the PR tour has started.
The backtracking tour has begun.
So Brandon Graham spoke with, by the way, great work by Tim McManus for getting these quotes from BG. I believe John Clark did as well. So Brandon Graham was making his rounds yesterday, and I'm expecting more today from the Eagles. Ian Rappaport is very good at the I got a message from a source.
Yeah,
Howie
somebody just sent it to me.
Roseman.
Well, wait a minute. The best Howie source is our own Adam Schefter.
Yes, that's
Nobody has. Adam Schefter will comment on this. I would guess I'm putting the over-under at 8:15.
and we will talk to him tomorrow at 8 o'clock to get more information.
I'm guessing we see something on this from Adam Schefter by 8:15.
So here's the quote from Brandon Graham through the Twitter account of Tim McManus. Quote, I really just want to win, man, and I want brothers to be able to just hash it out. I'm going to make sure I apologize to both of them. I wasn't trying to be divisive. I just didn't want us to use the media in a bad way. I can't do that either. If I've got something to say, I've got to go to the people too. I made a mistake, and I assumed that it was something that it wasn't. I just want to win so bad that I don't just want to use the media when we need to talk about something and we can fix the problems ourselves. I didn't add to it in a good light, so that's my bad.
I would tell you right there, first off the bat, if your message is you don't want two other people to use the media to get stuff out, and then you use the media to do that,
Yeah.
that's Brandon Graham's he's too smart, and he's too cultured in football to make that kind of mistake. And more importantly, last year too, remember it was Brandon Graham who was trying to tell us that it was a media creation
For Sean Desai.
that Sean Desai was getting demoted, which was a load of garbage. So I am going to say, as much as I respect Brandon Graham, I got to tell you, no matter what spin he tries to put on it, he spoke the truth and then tried to backtrack on the truth.
And part of me wonders, I think he's really, really, really thinking, how can I be a leader of this team while I'm not on the field? Remember,
Yes.
when he got hurt, that was one of the first things he said. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to find a way to be a leader even though I'm not in uniform. And I wonder if he thought that this was a good plan of attack. It's not. What did we just go through with the Sixers and the team meeting, right? What Tyrese Maxey said about Joel Embiid, we all agreed with. We were all like, hey, good for you, Tyrese. The big story is the fact that, A, Joel Embiid was late to everything, but B, the fact that it got out, and it should not have gotten out. Now, that was anonymous.
And it caused hurt feelings.
This was straight from the mouth of Brandon Graham. This was not anonymous.
And
this guy, and you mentioned it, he's too smart. This wasn't his first media hit.
No,
Okay.
not. And more importantly, too, with a guy like Brandon Graham, is a veteran player like this has to know there's stuff that doesn't leave the locker room. In years where I was embedded with a team as a broadcaster and stuff, I witnessed fights between players where guys got in each other's faces, punches thrown in a locker room.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that, I never, ever went on my radio show and said, have I got scoop for you?
Right.
Because there's things that are supposed to be sacred to within those walls. Him yapping like that it's just a dumb thing. But one thing that you pointed out in the beginning, and I think we need to reiterate, neither one of us thinks this year resembles last year.
No, this is not a, oh my God, they're going to fall
not a team,
apart.
right? This is not a team unraveling. This is not a coaching staff that appeared to be incompetent.
Right.
So this is a completely different context that we're talking.
But we're going to ask that question today for you guys at 610-632-0975. Do you believe that there could be something here that could potentially derail the season? Now, you might be sitting there driving your car right now or listening, and again, if you are driving, be careful with the fog out there.
It's bad, by the way.
Come on, let's not make too much of this potential drama. There's always beefs between friends. There's always beefs between teammates.
No.
It always comes back to this, and this is the unfortunate nature that we are in when it comes to this football team. We had to do it earlier with Nick Sirianni this season. We had to do it earlier with Jalen Hurts this season. And now we have to do it about potential drama inside a locker room. What did we just go through last year?
Let's not put, though, and one thing I would like to say, and you guys may disagree, I put none of this on Nick Sirianni. Like, if Nick Sirianni's name, I don't believe, should come up in a conversation regarding two grown men, two men, grown-ups.
No, I mean, like, it goes back.
But like the culture and everything.
Right.
This is up to them.
It is up to them.
This is up to them to stop acting like the Real Housewives of South Philly.
Right.
I mean, this is the same crap we dealt with last year. It's time for grown men to act like grown men.
Well, and that's why I asked the question.
Like,
are you concerned that this could derail the season? Because it is exactly what's happening last year. And if last year's collapse never happened, I go, all right, they'll get this smoothed over. But because last year did happen, and there were a lot of anonymous sources. I don't know who the anonymous sources were, but I also do know that A.J. Brown avoided talking to the media for some time last year. And right around that 49ers game, after the 49ers game, I still remember the Derek Gunn report that an anonymous source told him from inside the locker room that they were disappointed with the offense and that it was too stale, it was not creative. And I'm not going to say that was A.J. Brown, but it could have been.
No, I bet you that it very well could have been.
And then all of a sudden he doesn't talk to the media after. Was it that game that he didn't talk to the media?
He didn't talk to the media after the game when him and Jalen went rogue
in
Seattle, where they had an easy field goal to send the game at least to overtime.
So he goes rogue 2 weeks after saying that the offense was stale.
And then he wouldn't talk to the media. But then, to A.J. Brown's credit,
yes,
he then said after a little while, he goes, okay, I have to take ownership of this. And he was the one that revealed to everybody that Jalen and him went rogue on that play call at the end. That he was the one that told that story. And from what I was told, that caused friction. The fact that A.J. went public and said, here's what happened, because Jalen never commented on it.
Right. Now,
so there's part of that.
Now, here's the thing. So that's our question today. Are you concerned that this could derail the season or send them down a path where maybe it's not season's over, but the next couple of weeks, there's obviously more drama that we have to focus on. We can't just watch Eagles, Steelers, X's and O's this Sunday. We're now going to be watching, do they recreate the Donovan McNabb, T.O., remember when one of them was following the other on the sideline? I think T.O. followed McNabb.
Yes.
And then McNabb recreated it a couple weeks later. Like, do we see something like this brewing? We're now going to watch this kind of stuff.
Gut instinct. Neither one of us feels that's what it's going to delve into.
No. But
I don't believe that will.
But there are probably people that are freaking out. Now, this leads to another conversation that we have to have. And I already see it.
Okay.
Please. I don't even know why I have to plead, but whatever. Please don't turn this into an evil media thing.
Oh, my gosh.
So,
who ran their mouth?
Right away.
Who ran their mouth?
Connor puts out the pre-show tweet that we were obviously going to be talking about this thing. And right away, Linda, who I know Linda. Linda's been
great lady.
Big part of the station for a while. Let's blow it up. That's what Philly media does.
Oh, yeah. Who ran their mouth, Linda?
The player.
This was not something that was prompted. This is something that was volunteered.
No, but then you get the follow-up. Well, who's asking the questions?
What question are you asking? Are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. Don't blame there was no gotcha. There was no let's ask something that's going to make Brandon Graham say something that's going to potentially cause the be the big story of the day. Stop it with this. This is a player running his mouth.
Right.
This is not the media luring him into a trap or misrepresenting him, which is another one. This isn't a misrepresentation. When you speak and then have to go on the, well, I didn't really mean it tour, you're backtracking.
Well, and that's the thing. If Tim McManus never got the scoop that he got, if John Clark never got the scoop that he got,
yes,
then maybe you can make that case. But the fact that it took BG probably reaching out himself or quickly answering, hey,
text.
you want to further comment?
You want to walk that back?
Yeah.
You want to walk that back a little?
Or he got a phone call from somebody within the Eagles. Maybe he feels a little guilty for what he had to say. So question number one, are you concerned that what Brandon Graham brought to light yesterday could derail the season? 610-632-0975. But
and you and I, our vote is?
No, it's not going to derail the season.
So our vote is no. Connor, you
it's
the same?
a less confident no.
Okay, explain.
Explain yourself.
Well, I don't know. Last year has me scared a little bit.
I don't blame you.
I don't blame you. I mean, like, I'm not saying you're wrong.
And I said something yesterday I wrote it on the show sheet that I sent to our boss, Scott Mastiller. And one of the things was, are you starting to get vibes from last year with this year's team? And that was before this Brandon Graham commentary came out. Because once you have this, passing's weird, and A.J. Brown isn't really giving full answers, and Jalen Hurts isn't explaining it, it feels there's something weird going on. Now, it could very easily be these two guys sit down, they talk to each other, it doesn't matter. In a day, we could get a comment that say they worked it out. But I don't know. I'd be lying to you if I said I felt good about this.
No, I mean, look, nobody should be, they're fine. I don't want to just go, they're fine. But I don't think they're going to. I don't think their season's going to.
We do not. So we're like you are slightly cautious on it.
Yeah.
Andrew and I both do not think it will. But there is one thing about it, is that at least to me, it's the idea that when I'm thinking about where this team is at, Jalen Hurts seems to find himself in a lot of these things.
He does.
Like, I got to tell you, I am so thankful for the people in my life that I do not, I can't think of the last time with a friend or a close family member that I've had to deal with drama like this.
Yeah, but how do we know this is Jalen driven? He could just be a part of it. I mean,
he's a part.
We've been celebrating his leadership ever since the bye week.
He has, but he was a part of it last year with the offensive coaches.
Well, no, I think
he was a part of it with Nick Sirianni.
I think he was a part of the problem last year. He may just AJ may have just been upset, and
here's
I don't know.
Here's what I'm going to say. Were there any lies detected in your mind with what AJ Brown said?
No.
Okay.
But maybe Jalen Hurts didn't like that he said it.
Okay, that's fine. Then that should just be Jalen being put on the big boy pants and saying, I had a crappy game. And you know what? We're going to have a better game next week, dude. I'll take ownership of this. I didn't hear that from any comments.
Unless this has been brewing, because we asked Andrew DeCecco that yesterday, and he says that he thinks this may have been something that we just have. And so if this has been brewing from AJ, and I get it, Jalen's the guy throwing the football.
But I would also say we constantly ask our athletes to be honest with us.
Yes.
And to not give us coach speak and to share. So I refuse to rip A.J. Brown for saying something that was hardly hurtful.
But
was not I mean, if Jalen Hurts was offended by that comment after the game, I gotta say.
Yeah, but it could have been yo, bro, why'd you have to say that publicly?
Oh, no, that could be. And that absolutely.
And I wouldn't blame him for feeling a certain type of way.
I wouldn't mind it.
We're supposed to be boys, and you're not just taking shots at me behind my back to a camera.
I wouldn't mind if Jalen had that conversation and said those words. But if it's something that's festering and a problem, then that's different. That's different. But because you got to take ownership.
But I don't think it's festering in a problem. Jalen going, oh, AJ's open. Oh, we got beef. I'm not throwing it to him.
I don't believe that. I don't believe any of that exists.
Also, we got to be careful with the "we want athletes to be honest" thing, because Brandon Graham was as honest as any athlete's been this year.
Right, now,
and we're saying
What I'm saying is that he didn't have to answer that. He did not have to answer that way, Connor.
I understand. So what would he have given us, John? He would have given us coach speak that we get mad at, saying, "Oh, well, he's not saying."
He doesn't have to expose other people's business. He can answer a question about the team.
And A.J. Brown doesn't have to say, well, the passing.
That's not other people's business. That's his business.
I understand.
A.J. Brown answered something about his business.
If you say we want them to be honest, but only so honest.
No, I don't want, Connor, I don't want you, if the Inquirer or Crossing Broad came to you and there was something, Andrew and I were having beef, I don't want you speaking for us.
Yeah.
So there's so Brandon Graham has no reason to be speaking on that issue publicly.
I understand. But when you ask for honesty and you say we want athletes to be honest to us, if they're honest to us, that's sometimes what you get.
No, you don't speak someone else's truth.
Well, he was telling the truth of what could be the locker room.
Yeah, but you don't speak somebody else's. He can speak. A.J. Brown, speaking after the game, was speaking about his situation.
Your line for what athletes and coaches should say is thinner than one of my hairs.
It's not. No, it's not.
Yes,
it's
it
not.
absolutely
No, it's very
is.
clear.
It's
Speak
wild.
about your own business. Speak about your business. Speak about the things that affect you, that you're directly involved in. Don't speak on other people's business.
All right, so could this derail the season? Are you concerned by it? You can climb in at 610-632-0975. Coming up next, we're going to play you some audio from before the Brandon Graham comments yesterday. Nick Sirianni talked about the team's headspace. And E.J. Smith, we just talked about how Andrew DeCecco told us yesterday that things may be festering. E.J. Smith had some things about A.J. Brown yesterday. I wonder if some of these comments will be updated.
I would imagine.
Also, we are going to talk about this evil media thing coming up next as well, because somehow this is the media's fault, which I just don't understand, and I have a question for you about it. And it's about holding your team and your players accountable. It's Kincade and Salciunas on Tuesday morning. Always sunny in Philadelphia, Johnny. Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Drama with the Birds. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by Popeyes. It's football season in Philly, so you got to have some grub. Popeyes is just the John for any fan of the Birds. We're talking wings, baby. So fly to Popeyes Fly and fill up on wings in 7 delicious flavors. The Eagles are 11-2, have won 9 straight games, already clinched a postseason spot. But it appears there's some kind of drama between quarterback Jalen Hurts and wide receiver A.J. Brown. Yesterday, Brandon Graham publicly said that things have changed with Brown and Hurts' relationship, and there are things that need to be worked out. Graham later apologized for making the comments publicly, and all of this stemmed from A.J. Brown's comments about the subpar passing game on Sunday. So the head coach, well, he talked about the passing game at least yesterday.
It's no secret that we weren't up to our standard in that area yesterday, and so it's just going back to work. What I do know, I love that guys care. That just leads into getting better.
And hopefully the Eagles will care enough and will get better enough from this situation. But it is a little bit troubling to hear that there might be some rocky relationship issues between your quarterback and your wide receiver one. The Flyers take on the Blue Jackets up in Columbus tonight at 7 p.m. You can hear that game live right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. And the Phillies made their first move of free agency yesterday, signing closer Jordan Romano to a 1-year deal. Romano was an all-star in 22 and 23 with the Blue Jays. Jeff McLane joins us coming up at 8:10. Amy Fadul for the entire 9 o'clock hour. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
It is 6:30 on Kincade Salciunas on this Tuesday morning here on 97.5 The Fanatic. We will get to some texts and calls, obviously, this hour because I'm sure people want to talk about this Brandon Graham situation, or maybe they wish we don't have to, but we do. Before we play some audio for you, I just want to read you another quote. We read you the quotes from Tim McManus. He spoke to Brandon Graham yesterday following the beginning of this fiasco. John Clark did as well. Brandon was actually at a event for Connor Barwin and Chris Long. They had a foundation yesterday, or an event for their foundation yesterday, and I'm guessing John was there for PR stuff, and so he caught up with BG.
Was that the Steak
48?
Steak 48,
I believe so. Quote, I should have talked to them first without assuming what others said. I should have just kept it in-house, and I was wrong for talking about it. I just want to win. I want to have a parade down Broad Street.
If one of them, and Connor, I think is because people are just not understanding what you and I are going back and forth about. If AJ or Jalen wanted to address what went on between them, that's fine. Yeah. That's the honesty I'm looking for. I'm not looking for other people to be commenting. And by the way, this happens in our industry a lot.
Oh, yeah, it does.
You got a lot of people who aren't involved in things.
That have a lot to say.
Then they have a lot to say. And then they're like,
yeah,
I'm an information broker. This is what's going on. And usually it's the people who have the least information themselves that they're involved in.
Right.
That are sharing it.
I want everyone to understand. Like, I understand what you want, and I don't think you're wrong to want that. Like, I totally get where you're coming from. My only argument is when you request honesty from players and coaches, sometimes you're going to get stuff like this in situations you shouldn't. And like the whole, what level should you be honest to? It's a tough thing to define that for another person. Now, I don't think Brandon Graham was doing this to like out anybody.
No.
I think he was legitimately like, so kids have this word, like everyone's a yapper these days. They like to talk, professional yappers. Like Brandon Graham is legitimately, he's a yapper. He's a guy who likes to talk. And he just talked too much. And he put himself in a bad spot.
And I believe that he's trying to find ways to lead.
I think he was trying to do something good.
Right.
But in the process, he didn't do something good.
So let's play a couple of clips for you, and then we're going to get into this conversation about blaming the media for this, which I think
it's fascinating.
I think is so weak-minded. I'm not afraid to say it. But we'll get to that in a couple minutes. Let's start off. So this was all before everything started. Nick Sirianni had his day after press conference. And so, obviously, the A.J. Brown post-game comments were talked about a lot, morning show, and then obviously into the Mike Missanelli show. And then Nick Sirianni had his day after press conference. And so he was asked about kind of, hey, how's the team doing right now? Because for the first time this year, we're hearing kind of bad things coming from your locker room. And it was about this time last year it started as well. Here's Sirianni talking about it.
I like the fact that guys, when we don't reach our standard of how we want to play and show everybody how we play each week, that they're disappointed in that. But you also have to remind them in those moments it's hard to win, and that you have to enjoy those moments, because I know this, when you lose, that will sit with you, and then you'll be you're sick about that. And so you have to balance that out from when you win to enjoy it. It's about enjoying the locker room after the game, because there's so much that goes into each week. And when you win, there should be joy in that, because you work so hard at it. And so you have to find some enjoyment, because when you lose at the end of that week and all the work that you put into it, that's a bad feeling. And so I'm not saying it equals out, because us as coaches and us as players, the losses do sit with you harder than the wins do, but you have to find a way to be positive in those scenarios.
So the reason why he seems to be going overboard with this, because he said it Sunday after the game, and he said it yesterday, day after, about the whole, hey, we really got to enjoy the wins.
Do you think he witnessed something?
No, I think
after
it goes
the
back.
game
I
Sunday?
think it goes back to last year. Jeff McLane calling the most miserable 10-1 locker room he's ever been around. So I wonder if maybe he does see something, or he senses, hey, we're skating by a couple. This is a win we should have beat them up on. We barely beat them, but a win's a win. Let's have fun. Let's celebrate it. I think he's trying to go over the top, and I don't say over the top in a negative way. I think he's going to try to go over the top to, hey, let's not get back to where we were last year, where we were miserable with results despite them being wins.
I think that's by the way, I really believe Sirianni's been on a really
that was a good answer.
That's a really good answers.
Yeah.
Those are good ways to handle it. And by the way, the message is completely true.
Yeah.
You got to enjoy, and I think Mike Missanelli did a great job yesterday on his show of just sort of like Mike's point of like, look, this stuff happens all over the NFL. Talked to a buddy of mine yesterday in Kansas City who does sports radio, and he was like, this year has been miserable.
Yeah. They've one loss.
And the fan base is miserable with how they're playing.
And they're a dynasty, so screw you,
and they're like
Chiefs fans.
Constant complaining. He goes, and I get this. Well, we're becoming Philadelphia, I swear, with all the negativity.
No.
Because they're struggling.
No,
like,
you can't be called Philadelphia if you have championships.
Not when you have a dynasty.
Get the hell out of here.
Spoiled.
Get the hell out of here. Yeah, exactly. I want to smack all those Chiefs fans in the face.
They can't play this negativity game with us.
No, they can't. We will beat them in that one.
Sirianni's in the Clark Griswold zone from Family Vacation, where you get to Wally World and it's closed, and you're like, we're still going on the rides.
Still going on the rides.
We're still going to go on the rides, guys. Like,
there you go.
We got to enjoy it.
So obviously this all stems from A.J. Brown's performance on Sunday. Not his performance, his lack of production, because Jalen didn't necessarily throw it to him when he was wide open. Here's Sirianni talking about getting A.J. the ball.
A.J. is a great football player that we always are trying to get the ball in his hands. There's no doubt, because he's a great player. It doesn't always work as simple, as easy as that. There's other factors of things that they can take away. You're running the ball well, situation in the game. There's a lot of factors that go into that. I think what's important that we talk about always is controlling the things that you can control. And what AJ can control is going out there and doing a good job of beating the man over top of him when he's running a route and blocking a guy he's supposed to when he's in the run game. And so AJ's has missed 3 games and has 800 and plus yards. And so he's making a big contribution. I know he wants the football because, he knows how much he can help our team when he touches the football. Just like Saquon, just like Devontae, just like Jalen. Just like Dallas Goedert, when they get the ball in their hands, they know they can affect the game. And so I know that AJ's a great teammate and a great person, and those things I know for sure about AJ.
That's leader. That is I got to tell you right there and he has this year been the best at his job. I think Nick, speaking as the head coach, sending the message. I think he's done the best job
since week 6.
No, I mean of the whole year though. His comments and press conference, he gets better at it. That was perfect messaging.
Yeah,
perfect. And AJ's missed 3 games, and he's going to go over 1,000 yards. Probably the Commanders game.
Yeah, probably two more games.
It's not like he's been a non-factor, which is what you were sort of pointing to yesterday.
Yeah, he's not been a non-factor, and that's why we're going to get into this a little bit more, because I do want to play one more clip, and it's about A.J. Brown speaking out. This is bothering me about A.J. Brown a little bit, and we'll get into this a little bit more. I understand that Sunday was a bad game, but I don't think A.J. Brown's had some bad season where he should be voicing his frustration like this. And we'll get into it a little bit. Here's more clip for you.
Here's all I would say to you just before you get to that one, is how much of that is just after the game, microphone in his face, he hasn't had time to decompress.
I think that might be a lot of it, because just 2 games ago, he had over 100 yards.
Correct.
And the game before that, yeah, he had 6 catches for 60 yards, which doesn't sound great, but he was the entire offense in the second quarter. Like, his number was called.
In the huge second quarter.
Yeah, so, dude, I'm hoping this was just an emotional outburst after a performance where you expected more, especially because you were open. And I understand why you're frustrated, because you're open and the quarterback didn't look your way. He did look your way but didn't pull the trigger. But, man, this whole conversation starts because of his frustration becoming public.
4 of his last 6 games, though. 43, 66, 65, 36.
And what about the 200?
109, 109.
Yeah.
But, I mean, A.J. Brown should never have a 36-yard game. A.J. Brown
Which
should never.
Which game was that?
The Jacksonville game. A.J. Brown should never have a 43-yard game. A.J. Brown, 65 to me would be the absolute low, the floor of any week where he would walk off and say, I feel like I did something.
But here's why I would say, all right, A.J. Brown could have a 36-yard game.
Okay?
Devontae Smith had 87 that day. And then Saquon Barkley rushed for 159 and had 3 catches for 40 yards. He almost had 200 yards from the line of scrimmage.
And I'm going to go back to you and say there is no game that A.J. Brown should have 4 targets.
I understand.
He had 4 targets in the Jacksonville game. He had 4 targets in the Carolina game. He had 6 targets in the Baltimore game. And the guy is he is as productive as Saquon.
I'm surprised it got to this point, though, because I don't think he's been having a bad season.
He holds himself to a huge standard.
Yeah, but it got to the point where it's now led to this, and I don't think A.J. Brown should be absolved of this, if I'm being honest with you.
It led to this because of another player talking about it.
Right, but it should never have been talked about to begin with, in my opinion.
I got you.
So coming up next, we'll explain a little bit more about this. We'll play this E.J. Smith clip for you. We'll talk about, for whatever reason, this is the media's fault, which I just don't get. And we hear from you. 610-632-0975. It is Kincade and Salciunas on what should be an interesting morning right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Bill Colarulo.
When you have Super Bowl aspirations.
6 on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. All right, let's play this clip for you from E.J. Smith, and then we'll dive a little bit deeper into who's at fault here. But E.J. Smith talked about A.J. Brown. This was, again, he was on the best show ever yesterday. This was after the comments made by A.J. Brown on Sunday. I'm trying to get the timeline here accurate for everybody. After A.J. Brown made his comments about the passing game on Sunday, E.J. Smith joins the best show ever yesterday. But this is before what was said by Brandon Graham and then since backtracked by Brandon Graham, even though it wasn't really a backtracking. It was more so an apology publicly. Here's E.J. Smith talking about A.J. Brown, how this may be brewing a little bit.
I'm not surprised that he said it out loud. I think this is something that's been bubbling under the surface for probably about a month now. And I don't think that, AJ's comments are necessarily at odds with Saquon. I've heard him talk, very complimentary about Saquon and kind of talk about how important Saquon has been for this team. And he's a receiver that's been used to playing with a high-volume running back. He played with Derrick Henry with the Tennessee Titans. I think in general, when you watch the film back, you understand why he's frustrated. He's open a lot, and he didn't get the ball a lot. So, I think while, he did mention that it's frustrating, it's very difficult to get into a rhythm when you only throw the ball a limited amount of times. I think really what he's kind of alluding to is the fact that when the opportunities aren't there for him when they do throw the ball in those limited spaces, when he doesn't get the ball when they do throw it, I think that is a valid frustration. He's a special player. Obviously Saquon's been the main guy for them most of the season, but A.J. Brown is one of the best receivers in football, if not the best. I understand why he's frustrated that he hasn't gotten the ball in his hands.
So do you think if E.J. Smith came on again today, he would speak a little bit differently now that we may have gotten a little bit more insight?
Sure.
Because I don't know if this is just...
He's a good Al.
I don't know if this is just I'm upset that I didn't get the ball when I was open now all of a sudden. Like, why did it get to the point?
The one thing is the fact that Brandon Graham brought up that their friendship. They used to be friends.
Yeah.
When you say that, they used to be friends. That's not... There's no misquoting.
Right.
There's no spinning. There's no media developing something into that. Andrew and John. How are Andrew and John? Well, they used to be friends.
No. Some would say never, John.
I mean, seriously now. I mean, it's like it's the spin on this is going to be pretty incredible.
And so the spin. Now, here's the other thing, the spin, because people are going to say, yeah, the media's spinning it.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about this real quick, and then we'll get to our calls and texts. So, John, you see this all the time, that the media is the devil.
Right.
All right. It's just like Bobby Boucher's mom.
I've dealt with this for 30 years.
Football is the devil. I don't know why I said football. So we are the devil.
Right.
We are evil. Why does it seem like people first go to blaming a media member or the overall umbrella of media? And why don't we sometimes hold the players themselves or the coaches themselves accountable? And then I see you guys are the ones that ask the questions. Oh, okay.
Well, nobody,
hey, AJ.
Nobody lured Brandon Graham into a trap. Nobody said, hey, here's a gotcha question for Brandon Graham. So stop with that nonsense.
And even the
Stop
questioning
it.
of A.J. Brown, it was,
there was
hey,
nothing.
how do you feel that you had 4 catches for 43 yards?
I mean, nobody set up A.J. Brown to step in a pile of dog poop.
Right, but you guys really, it's not that hard of a dynamic to understand. They don't wear Andrew Salciunas jerseys.
No,
they
I
don't
get
wear
it.
John Kincade jerseys. Like, they root for the team. So
right.
The people that are mad at us are fans of the players, and they want the players protected.
But if the players are the ones saying it, and that's when I go.
I don't understand.
That's when I ask the
don't.
question of why is it hard? Because it's hard for people to hold a player accountable. I get it. I don't need anybody to be a fan of me, right? You're a fan of Brandon Graham. You're a fan of A.J. Brown. You're a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles.
And by the way, we're right with the two.
Yes.
All 3 of us are right there with every fan who listens to
thoroughly
this
enjoyed
show.
being an Eagles fan on Sunday and not having to worry about writing down notes and all that kind of stuff, right? I went to the game with my dad. It was a beautiful day. I enjoyed being a fan. But, man, if somebody opens their mouth that's a player, and this isn't anonymous. A lot of people like to do the whole, oh, this is a made-up quote. No, trust me, the great reporters in the city are not making up quotes. But this isn't even anonymous. This was A.J. Brown looking into a camera This was BG behind a microphone.
Right.
Like, this is no anonymous. This is they're saying it. And so why are we all of a sudden being told, oh, you guys are blowing this out of proportion when Brandon Graham is now going on the media tour? He's the one that's contacting Tim McManus. He's the one contacting John Clark, trying to backtrack all this stuff. So why is it somebody else's fault other than his?
This is the job, though. Guys, this is media. Listen, they root for the players. We give them information. They react to the information. But the default for fans is always going to choose A.J. Brown over a guy with a microphone. It's always going to be to choose Jalen Hurts over a guy with a microphone. It's choosing the Eagles over the Eagles media. And that's just a rooting interest of a fan.
But these are the players speaking into a microphone.
You are right.
No, I get it, but Connor,
device.
it's like somebody. There's no logic to it at all.
There's not, John. It's fandom. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's like normal. I'm not saying it's like the smart way to go about it. I'm saying that, like, listen, if your kid's playing a sport and another kid's playing a sport and they have like the same penalty called against them, you're going to defend your kid because they're yours. Guess what? The Eagles are their kid and the media is the media.
Okay.
Wow.
And I would like to dive deeper into that conversation with you guys as well at 610-632-0975. Do you believe this is something that could derail the season? Again, full disclosure, John and I both say no. We don't believe that this is going to derail the season, okay? But we have to ask the question. And also, why do you quickly hate on the media for something like this and not hold your favorite players? And let's face it, BG is a fan favorite. Why don't you hold your favorite players accountable when they're the ones that did start
and
this?
They weren't, and it wasn't a media creation that lured them into a conversation.
No. Let's go to Ralph in Pottstown. Ralph, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Connor, John, Andrew.
What's up, Ralph?
What's up, buddy?
Not much, man. Yeah, just a few weeks back, John and Andrew, and I know Connor, you were kind of on the fan side. Didn't the media ask for Jalen Hurts to be a game manager?
Yes.
I might be wrong, but people ask for a game manager, right?
Yeah, and I'm getting exactly what I wanted, Ralph, except for the open receivers that he missed. Game
manager doesn't mean not throwing to open receivers.
Yes, you got to hit your open receivers.
Now, then we are expect kind of like this from A.J. Brown, this selfish behavior. I mean, he did it in Tennessee. He did it last year. He's doing it again. Then we all expect that when we ask for a game manager. He's not expecting to catch the ball 4 times a game. And granted, Jalen missed him. We all saw that. That's not okay, Jalen. Like, throw him the ball in the right place.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're not shocked by A.J. Brown speaking out is what you're saying.
I'm not shocked because we should have all expected this from A.J. Brown. Like, we've seen this from great receivers all the time. And A.J. is very selfish. John, hear me out here, John. We sit here and be selfish for going to the Olympics and not training. That's the same thing A.J. Brown is doing.
No, he's not. A.J. Brown. No. A.J. Brown shows up. A.J. Brown shows up for work every day. One of the hardest working players. Perfect condition. Puts the team and the objectives of the team. He lays it all on the field every week. There is no comparison. None.
All right, so coming up next, we will continue this conversation. This is the big story in Philadelphia. Again, I said it in the little open at the beginning of the show. Unfortunately, right, too many times this year, the win has not been the big story. It's always been something else. So we'll expand on this conversation coming up. And I do want to dive deeper because we didn't have much time to talk about it. The A.J. Brown side of things when it comes to this and what kind of blame you would put on him for this. I don't like that he spoke out. You're okay with it. We'll discuss that more coming up next, and we'll hear from you as well. It is Kincade and Salciunas on this Victory Tuesday, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Some things to work out for the Eagles. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, coming January 25th. The biggest fighting event ever to hit Philadelphia, Knuckle Mania 5 from Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships, Saturday, January 25th at Wells Fargo Center. The Eagles have some things to work out all of a sudden. Now, it's not their record. They're 11-2. They've won 9 straight football games. They have clinched a postseason spot. So the team on the field, they've been rolling for over 2 months now. But It appears there's some type of disconnect or drama between A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. Brandon Graham publicly said yesterday that things have changed with Brown and Hurts' relationship, and there are things that need to be worked out. Now, Graham later apologized for making the comments publicly, but now it's something that we need to discuss, and all of this really stemmed from A.J. Brown's comments about the subpar passing game on Sunday. Nick Sirianni talked about that subpar passing game in his media availability yesterday.
It's no secret that we weren't up to our standard in that area yesterday. And so it's just going back to work. What I do know, I love that guys care. That just leads into getting better.
It's never a dull day as an Eagles fan, so hopefully the Eagles can work this out on the field and off. The Flyers take on the Blue Jackets up in Columbus tonight at 7 p.m. You can hear that game live here on 97.5 The Fanatic. The Phillies have signed closer Jordan Romano yesterday to a one-year deal. Romano was an all-star in 2022 and 2023 with the Toronto Blue Jays. We'll talk to Jeff McLane at 8:10. Amy Fadul for the entire 9 o'clock hour. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
we're also going to get into the Jalen Hurts throwing the football angle of things, because I wonder if the team kind of told you what they think about him as the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles this year. All right, this year, with the way they changed the offense. We'll get into that coming up in a little bit. But obviously, we're talking about what took place yesterday, the comments made by Brandon Graham. And then, of course, he then does the media tour afterward. Even though the media is evil, he utilized them to try to get a message out. That's interesting, isn't it? Anyways, Tim McManus spoke with Brandon Graham last night so that he could try to clarify his comments.
Welcome back a little bit.
Even though the comments really weren't that clarified. Here's the tweet from Tim McManus. Just spoke with Brandon Graham. He clarified his comments about Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown's relationship. Quote, I just assumed about their friendship, and it made me out to look even worse because I had it all wrong, and now people are going to run with that part. I really just want to win, man, and I want brothers to be able to hash it out. I'm going to make sure I apologize to both of them. I wasn't trying to be divisive. I just didn't want us to use the media in a bad way. I can't do that either. If I've got something to say, I've got to go to the people too. I made a mistake, and I assumed that it was something that it wasn't. I just want to win so bad that I don't just want to use the media when we need to talk about something and we can fix the problem ourselves. I didn't add to it in a good light, so that's my bad. Now, here's my question, because he's saying he assumed something that wasn't. But then is saying, I don't want us to use the media. I'd rather us talk about it in person. So he
assumed he I think when he said that, I read it as he's about their friendship.
Okay.
Which he's not the only one to observe that, like, maybe some things aren't great in paradise.
Right, maybe.
But you know what, though? That happens all the time.
Yeah, once you're best friends, you start working with each other on a daily basis.
I'm not in the least bit. That doesn't in the least bit bother me.
No.
That worries me more.
Really?
Yeah, the friendship angle of this worries me more. Because if a wide receiver comes to you and says, throw me the damn ball, that is a simple fix. You know what you do? If they're A.J. Brown, you throw him the damn ball, and then you work that out. If this is some situation where, like, you know how it goes, where somebody might say the same thing to you. Andrew, you bring it up all the time. Like, a friend says the same thing to you, and you react a different way. And then if another person says it, well, if there's something going on with this relationship, then maybe 4 targets annoys A.J. Brown more in a way that, like, 2 targets would. Like, he gets annoyed
I get
quicker.
it, but I don't think Jalen is not targeting him because of it.
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that it's quick. If you don't like the guy, it's quicker. Your trigger for getting angry about something that has nothing to do with the relationship it's a shorter fuse than what it would be if you guys were still best friends.
I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Now,
that's logical.
Now let's expand on this a little bit more. The A.J. Brown thing. So I was bothered by this yesterday. This was before what Brandon Graham had to say. I was bothered that A.J. Brown spoke out. So I understand where you are coming from, John. We're going to play audio for you later on this hour. A former NFL player talking about how A.J. Brown should not be 43rd in targets this season. And I get where he's coming from, but then again, he's got to realize that he's missed 3 games. So I imagine if he has 15 more targets, maybe he's in the 20s, and that probably still isn't high enough.
4 targets a game, 6 targets, even 6 targets for him a game is ridiculous.
But
that's ridiculous.
The reason why the targets are limited is what we talked about before the season even started. Man, how are they going to get the ball all over the place? And that is a hard job for the quarterback to do, to have A.J. Brown get his, to have Devontae Smith get his. How many times this year have we said, man, we need to see a little bit more out of Dallas Goedert? It may not be because Dallas Goedert wasn't open. It may just have been because he wasn't getting his. So Jalen's been trying to balance A.J. getting his fill, Devontae getting his, Dallas getting his. By the way, A.J.'s missed 3 games. Dallas has missed more games than that. Devontae's missed games. So he's trying to get everybody on the same page here. And, oh, by the way, they have the best running back in the league. So they're going to hand the football off.
I couldn't disagree with you more.
Why?
4 targets? 4 targets for A.J. Brown in multiple games? Is a joke, Andrew. Come on now.
But
it's a joke. I don't care that Saquon is amazing back. It's ridiculous that you have 4 targets.
But then you got to also give Devontae his targets, Dallas's targets. Jalen runs the football with his legs. And look,
wait a minute. But in those games, you have 4 targets for AJ, 6 targets for Devontae.
Okay, he's going to get
That's
his
10.
some games.
10 targets to wide receivers is ridiculous.
And then Dallas Goedert, and then
Dallas Goedert didn't play.
Saquon in the
Dallas
passing
Goedert
game.
didn't play in the game.
Which game are we talking about
We're talking
now?
about just the other day. 10 targets to
Okay.
wide receivers. Now, come on now. Let's stop.
Well,
A.J. Brown should never have 4 targets.
And look,
that is malpractice.
All right, John, I've agreed with you that this game was really bad for Jalen Hurts. I'm
it's
talking about
multiple
the
games, though.
But
it's like where he's
which
getting.
games are we talking about?
I told you he has 6 targets, 4 targets, 6 targets. That's ridiculous, Andrew. Come on.
He's only had less than 5 targets twice this year.
He is
this
one of
past game against the Panthers, which I have said numerous times that it was a bad game for Jalen Hurts. The other one was the Jacksonville game where Devontae had his big day and Saquon ran for 150 yards. Like, of course he's not going to be spreading the ball around. And AJ left the game at halftime. Thank you, Brandon Gunn.
How many times is A.J. Brown targeted? You saw Joe Burrow last night. You saw if Joe
That's
Burrow,
a different offense. I'm not comparing Hurts to Joe Burrow.
If Joe Burrow had him, you don't get A.J. Brown gets more than that. He's not getting enough targets in this offense. Anything below 6 or 7 to me is malpractice.
Anything below 6, well, then that's only happened
but it's
3 times this year.
Yeah, but it's happened 3 times.
And one of them was
and he's missed.
He left at halftime in one of those games.
He's missed 3 games too. So it's a smaller sample than you're making it out to be. It's a larger sample than you're making it out to be. His target share is ridiculous. It's absolutely malpractice. And by the way, that's on the offense coordinator maybe not drawing up a good enough plan, and the quarterback holding the damn ball and not releasing it.
But John, earlier this season, I've heard you say, man, they haven't really gotten much out of Devontae this year. Because they're targeting AJ, and then we target Devontae, and then we complain about AJ's targets.
But they're not overly targeting AJ, so that's a false pretense. They didn't overly target AJ
Brown. We're
Brown.
talking about trying to get everybody involved. AJ Brown has 66 targets. Devontae Smith has 62. He's trying to balance the 2 guys. They've played the same amount of games. Goddard's got 46. And then you're handing the ball off 266 times this year to Saquon.
Andrew Pacheco on the text line.
Okay.
I agree with you. AJ's target share is a joke. He's one of the best in the business.
He is one of the best in the business.
It's not good, Andrew.
But when the
There's
offense
no way to spin this.
Only has Hurts throwing the ball 20 times a game, which is exactly what I think they should be doing
he's
this
throwing
year.
the ball 20 times a game. Explain to me where the 20 throws are going to. AJ Brown, 4, 6.
So let's say 20 targets a game, right? A.J. Brown is averaging.
If you were saying if he's no, by the way, he's not. Let's say he's throwing. Let's make it 22 to make it like the pretty much
22.
an average.
A.J. is averaging 6 targets a game. Devontae's averaging 6 targets a game. So that's 12
you
targets.
You target them evenly? I don't.
You're paying them close to evenly.
I don't know. No.
Devontae Smith's a former Heisman Trophy winner. Like, of course he's going to get his targets.
Wait. Okay. So if you said 6 and 6. There's 10 more passes. What are you talking about?
Goddard, Barkley, checkdowns.
Okay.
No.
Let's step away from the AJ versus Devontae versus other players on the team thing. Here are some of the players that have been targeted more than AJ Brown this year in the NFL. You tell me if it's ridiculous. Some of these names are above him.
Okay.
Demario Douglas has more targets than him. Devon Achane has more targets than him.
How many
from the running
games
back
have they
position.
played?
I know. I understand. Listen, no, it's AJ Brown. Okay, that's the
but
point.
you can't just ignore the fact that he's
Nico Collins and Tank Dell have both missed significant time this year. They both have more targets than him. By the way, they play in the same offense. Ray McLeod has more targets than him. I mean, what are we talking about? Jonnu Smith has more targets than him.
Oh my gosh.
There are so many names above him. Elijah Moore, Lad McConkey.
It's ridiculous.
But you're talking about him missing 3 full games and leaving at halftime in the Jags game. So that means he's missed 3.5 games. Some of these guys have played full seasons.
Okay. I'm going to give you. I'm just going to go, and I gotta use the calculator. So I gotta do this one here for you.
Okay.
Is the amount of targets per game, and I guarantee you this argument is going to fall apart. Is AJ Brown? Should we be discussing him with Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase?
Yes, we should.
And all of them.
Yes.
I guarantee you those numbers are not going to hold up for you.
You're probably right.
As far as the targets.
But
And they're
their
not going to be good.
quarterbacks are guys that are dropping back 40 times a game. Jalen Hurts is not throwing it that many times.
But it's malpractice that AJ is not a bigger part of this offense.
Okay,
It
so then
is.
you give him more. And look, I'm not saying I don't want AJ Brown to have more. If I could target A.J. Brown every freaking time I would do it.
And I believe that.
He's a top 5 wide receiver. And just last week when we did our second opinion segment, I said, look, there's a difference between Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. There's a difference from good to great. And A.J. Brown is great. But there's going to be games where he's not going to get as many targets because he's got to spread the football around. There was no with Dallas Goedert out of that game on Sunday. There was no reason to have to spread around. He had a bad game. Again, Jalen Hurts had a horrible game. That was his worst game of the season, was against the Panthers.
That is a game you lean on A.J. Brown.
Well, they leaned on Saquon like they always do.
But you can lean on Saquon and still. How many times did he throw it on Sunday?
21 times, I think.
Yeah.
And he threw it 4 times to A.J. Brown? I cannot believe the words are coming out of your mouth.
No, that's a bad game. But the point of this is this has been brewing. That's what's been told by Andrew DeCecco, who just texted you.
Yes.
E.J. Smith, that this has been brewing. Brewing since when?
No, but
brewing since the game against the Baltimore Ravens, where you were a big part of the offense. But I'm sorry you took a back seat to the best running back in the league. Same with the Rams game, which, by the way, you had 109 yards and a touchdown in that game.
Wow, I can't. This might be the biggest disconnect we've ever had.
Yeah, I can't understand at all how you're okay with this.
I can't understand what you're arguing. A.J. Brown is one of the four best. Am I out of line?
We'll call him top 5.
Top 5 wide receiver in the NFL.
Okay.
It's absurd. In any full game, in any game, that he's getting 5 or 6 targets even.
But they only throw the ball 22 times.
Okay.
Then he has 22 times. Then guess what? Get him his 6.
6 targets is more than a quarter of the times if it's 22.
No, a quarter? There should no way should he just get a quarter, Andrew. He is one of the most reliable receivers in the NFL. He's one of the guys who you throw it to him. He is great at a jump ball. He's great at a contested ball.
I know these things, John. I'm not learning anything
Well, it sounds
here.
like you don't know these things.
No,
what are you talking about?
25% of the targets for a passing team, if they're going to throw it, and he's only getting 25% of the targets, that's ridiculous.
All right.
It's absurd.
So you guys are totally okay with A.J. Brown
getting
frustrated publicly about his lack of usage in the offense.
All he answered is passing game. His answer was passing game. No, I do. But his answer was he didn't go off and say, my quarterback played like backside today.
No, he didn't do that.
He didn't do that. He said, what's the biggest problem with this offense right now? The passing game. That is not ultra-inflammatory. That is, and by the way,
but it's led to discussion when they're 11-2, and I didn't think we needed to have this discussion.
If you have a team that's throwing 21 times a game or 22, and A.J. Brown is not getting 8 of those targets, it's malpractice. Because they don't have that great of pass catchers. Dallas Goedert is good for a dropsy every game.
Yes, he is.
I want Devontae Smith to get his. This is absurd. It's not enough. They're not using a great weapon that they've got.
All right, so let's hear from you guys at 610-632-0975. Let's go to Leonard in Philly. Leonard, you're on the Fanatic.
What's up, buddy?
Thank God. I have the answer, guys. Good morning.
Oh, I'm glad that you have the answer. We need it.
I have the answer. So after watching the film, I'm a Jalen supporter, but what has changed? Like, number one, re-sign Sirianni because he's covering for Jalen. It's really that bad, guys. The game, I know it's one game, but I'm actually encouraged I'm going to actually go back and watch all the games, especially the last 4 weeks, where A.J. Brown has had no more than 30 to 60 yards. Jalen is actually looking at A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown is so wide open. It's
yes,
almost
we've talked about it. It was a very bad game by Jalen Hurts on Sunday.
It's not just this game,
but he is so wide open, guys, that it's almost like he hates him. Like, that's how wide open he is.
I don't think he's not throwing at A.J. Brown because of personal beef.
He's being facetious.
Yes. I'm being facetious, but what I'm saying, responding to what John is saying, it doesn't make sense. So at least the last game, A.J. Brown should have had at least 3 more targets that would have increased his targets and would have gotten him more yards. It's Jalen, guys, and I'm a Jalen supporter, but it's Jalen. Re-sign Sirianni because he's covering for Jalen. It's not Kellen Moore. He's missing people. He's missing big-time throws. He is.
Yeah, and that's why they've had to rely on the running game. And thanks for the call, Leonard. They've had to. So let's talk about this, all right?
Did they have to on Sunday?
No, I'm talking about since the bye.
No, I mean, there have been games where I think they've chosen to is a better word.
Right. So we have to have this conversation at some point because and I know that people don't want to hear this now because Eagles are 11-2, but part of the reason why they changed the offense is because they probably felt limited at what they can do.
Okay.
Like, I don't think it's crazy to say that the offensive line went to Nick Sirianni during the bye week saying, hey, we have to run the football and change this offense a little bit because you're putting Jalen Hurts in a worse position because maybe he's not the quarterback like a Joe Burrow that we're talking about. He's not. That's not
he isn't.
the style of play that he is.
But I've seen him pass extremely effectively.
Absolutely.
And with A.J. Brown, too.
So
I think he's trying not to throw interceptions. And I know that Tyrone did a great job of sort of spelling that out yesterday on the best show ever. That maybe after the bye week, so much was drilled into his head about not turning the ball over.
Probably.
That makes you slightly hesitant. You know, that you go, that window's a little too tight.
Right.
And the minute you hesitate, the other day, the minute he hesitated,
then
he
holds on to it. He doesn't
and
throw
so
it.
there's probably a clean explanation for this, and I don't believe for 1 second, and he was being facetious, but I don't believe for 1 second.
But you know how people take things
Sure, I get you.
the wrong way, so I had to make sure. But I wonder if this offense has changed because they feel a certain type of way of what maybe the limitations of Jalen Hurts are.
I'd imagine so. I mean, you look at the quarterback first for the type of offense you're going to run. He's going to be the focal point. He's your highest paid player, so you're going to determine how much you want to use that guy first. The ball's in his hands every play. The problem is, like, I'm not really happy that they are afraid to be a little bit more aggressive in the passing game because they don't trust the quarterback enough to do that.
Right, and that's, it goes back to because there's a lot of love for Jalen in this city, and I love the guy too. He's a winner, but it goes back to whether or not you want him dropping back more. And if he does drop back more, that means more opportunities for A.J. Brown. But if you drop back more, that means less carries for Saquon Barkley.
I'm okay with it.
I'm not, because I think that's the best way for this team to win. You guys know how I feel about Jalen Hurts. I think he is a winner. I think he finds ways to win games. I think he makes the right throws most of the time. He didn't do that this past Sunday against the Panthers, but I don't think he's Joe Burrow.
I would say
I don't think he's a guy that I want to drop back 40 times in a game.
I don't think you need him to be Joe Burrow. You need him to be Brock Purdy.
Fair.
You don't need him to be Joe Burrow. Let him be Brock Purdy. But you got to get rid of the ball. Let the ball fly.
Right.
And Brock Purdy has no problem doing that. And people in this city mock Brock Purdy.
Yes, they do.
Then let Jalen Hurts be Brock Purdy. Let the ball fly. And yes, I do believe they've coached into his head. Don't throw the interception.
Right, don't be the hero ball because that's what hurt. Look, they're 2-2 to start the season. A lot of it had to do with Jalen Hurts and his poor play.
I've seen Jalen, though, in many stretches of his career, look like a fantastic guy throwing the football.
Right.
It's just got to get that confidence back. And he obviously doesn't have it right now.
No, he obviously doesn't have it.
And that's a problem.
And that is a problem.
It is. So let's continue this conversation at 610-632-0975. Obviously, we are reacting to what happened last night, the comments that Brandon Graham made. We read you the tweets from Tim McManus and John Clark. But let's also go to the beginning of this, the A.J. Brown, post-game media availability. Are you blaming A.J. Brown at all for this starting? I'm not happy with him opening up his mouth. I get where you guys are coming from, that you want him to get more targets, but I just wonder how much more targets is there to go around when they're throwing the ball as few times as they are, especially the style of offense that I've wanted since the bye week. It is Kincade and Salciunas. You'll hear some more audio from some former players that have talked about this entire situation coming your way next. And, of course, your calls. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Trouble in the passing game. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by Winter Wonderland at PJ Wellhands. Get through the cold winter blues by meeting at PJ's for their brand new seasonal drinks and food menus, including their new wing of the month, lemon pepper. The Eagles, they have a great record at 11-2. They've won 9 straight games. They're locked into the playoffs. So all of that is taken care of, and they look to be in the driver's seat in the NFC East. But there have been some troubles in the passing games as of late. A.J. Brown brought it up post-game Sunday after the win over the Panthers, and Nick Sirianni talked about the struggles in the passing game yesterday in his day after media availability.
It's no secret that we weren't up to our standard in that area yesterday, and so it's just going back to work. What I do know, I love that guys care. That just leads into getting better.
Now, Sirianni's only talking about 1 week there, but comments that came out yesterday evening might suggest there's a little more going on. Brandon Graham publicly said that things have changed with Brown and Hurts' relationship, and there are things that need to be worked out. Graham later apologized for making the comments publicly, so we'll have to keep an eye on everything that's going on around the Birds. They're still winning football games, and that's the most important thing. The Flyers take on the Blue Jackets up in Columbus tonight at 7 p.m. You can hear that game live here on 97.5 The Fanatic. The Phillies signed closer Jordan Romano yesterday to a 1-year deal. Romano was an all-star in 2022 and 23 with the Blue Jays. Jeff McLane of the Inquirer will join us at 8:10. Amy Fadul will join us for the 9 o'clock hour. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Matt Fay.
7:30 on this Tuesday morning. We'll check the phone line, text line in a second. We'll let you know about the deal of the week. This is a good one right around this time of the year, especially. It's cold. And Connor, John has said something that I never heard in my entire life.
What's that?
That your mom told you that if you see the fuzzy caterpillars,
Yes.
the black fuzzy caterpillars.
Oh, yeah, dude. He
If you
always
see
brings
fuzzy
up caterpillars.
yes.
So
Batten down the hatches for a bad winter.
I always think John's a little clinically insane, but
Yes.
he said it. I go, I've never heard that in my life. What do I see for the first time? I've been living at my house currently for 3 years now. I sent him a picture and everything.
A big fuzzy caterpillar.
Huge one. I was like, dude, if this guy, if we might be in for a bad one.
By the way, you start, Betty Kincade, she's within the listening audience over at St. Peter and Paul Cemetery. So
Yes.
be careful.
Oh, yeah, I'll keep my mouth shut.
She really.
I'm sorry.
She told my daughter she was going to mess with her lights to show her that that's how she was going to talk from the afterlife.
Okay.
And last year, we were down with the lights all off, Christmas tree on, sitting downstairs, and the tower lights in the Kincade came on.
She's saying, what up?
She's saying, "What's up?"
Saying, what's up?
She heard us having a cocktail, I think.
So, with the cold weather coming, why not check out the Fanatic Deal of the Week for the Bear Creek Mountain Resort?
Oh.
Get 2 adult extended day lift tickets to Bear Creek Mountain Resort for just $80. It's located in Macungie, Pennsylvania.
I think Macungie.
Macungie, Pennsylvania. I've never been in the Macungie
Lafayette.
area. Shut up. Bear Creek Mountain Resort is the ultimate destination for skiing and snowboarding, featuring breathtaking views and thrilling trails for all skill levels. Get this exclusive offer while supplies last at 975thefanatic.com/deals.
Skier?
I've never done that.
Connor?
Snowboard.
I've
You're
tried.
more snow. I
on,
would
buddy.
figure you for snowboard.
Yeah.
I love skiing. I have not skied. I've not skied since my return.
I'm more of a tube guy.
We shred in this studio, baby.
I'm a
You love that,
a tuber. I like sitting in the tube.
You've never
stink,
gone skiing.
dude.
I'm shocked at that.
No, never tried it, and I'm afraid to ever do it. All right, let's go to some of our listeners, and then I want to go through these A.J. Brown targets thing with you.
Okay.
All right, because I'm going to still try to make my case that I'm disappointed that A.J. Brown even spoke out to begin with.
Okay.
But let's go to Chris in Allentown. Chris, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Good morning, gentlemen. Real quick on the caterpillar thing. It's the woolly bear caterpillar, and the more black that's on it, the harsher the winter. The more brown on it, it means the more of a lighter winter.
This
It's gonna be
thing-
more of
I
an
sent
Indian
John the
summer.
photo. There was
This
zero
thing is
brown.
black. This
There
thing
was
is
no brown on this thing.
shoe polish black.
Ooh, that
And
means
I-
a good winter.
and I saw-
Winter is coming.
And I saw some. We have some hiking trails near my house, and I have seen minimum of 3 or 4, and they were
Okay.
jet black.
Winter's coming,
Oh,
people.
beautiful. Let's go. So, anyways, let's jump on the Jalen Hurts thing and the passing game. I'll be honest with you guys, man. If we did better in the first, second, and third quarter, we'd have more passing attempts. So the percentage of the passing and the running stuff would be a much different counter stuff. Jalen Hurts has been trash this entire season. I'm sorry. I personally think his throwing, his inaccuracy, the way he leaves the pocket right away, the way he takes
Well,
sacks.
it's not
like,
inaccuracy. It's not throwing to the open receiver. That was the big
Absolutely.
problem this past week against the Carolina Panthers. But his completion percentage,
He's honestly setting the best marks of his career.
it is, 68% this year, which is his highest of his career. So it's not inaccuracy.
Okay, maybe it's not inaccuracy, but I mean, again, it goes back to what we talked about for many years now with Jalen Hurts, is not seeing the field properly and not hitting the wide open receiver. Like that third down, that button hook that Brown ran, Jalen Hurts held on to the ball. If he hits
Yes.
that, if he throws that
Sure.
on rhythm, that's a completion and that's a first down. We keep moving the chains. This is why we punt the ball so much. It's absolutely ridiculous in the first quarter. Every game I watch, it's like, come on, can we get something going here? I agree with Jalen. I agree with A.J. Brown calling him out. And I have no problems with it. We need this passing game to pick up so that when we get in the playoffs, when we meet a Minnesota, we can go toe-to-toe with a Minnesota at the end of the day. I mean, you look across the league, I mean, you add any other quarterback onto this team, and they're throwing 350 a game. Jalen Hurts hit 300 yards one time, and it was against New Orleans. That's it. Everything else has been
Now they don't.
Right.
They
Thank you for
don't
the
have
call, Chris.
Saquon though. Is the only thing I would say to Chris.
Yeah.
Those other teams don't have Saquon.
But I get what he's saying about, like, if you put Joe Burrow in this, and I agree. Like, Josh Allen, we talk about Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts having similar numbers. Josh Allen wins MVP because Josh Allen's throwing a Khalil Shakir.
Correct.
Right? Jalen Hurts has similar numbers to Josh Allen, but he's got A.J. and Devontae and Dallas Goedert and Saquon Barkley. There's a reason why they're running the football more than throwing the football because they, A, have a lot of faith in their run game. It starts up front with the offensive line and Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
And they may have a bit of lack of faith in Jalen Hurts throwing the football. That might be part of the case.
As Connor and I sort of shared in passing during the break, though, there's going to come a game. We all know it's coming. Where A.J. Brown's going to and Devontae Smith are going to have to win the Eagles a game.
Correct.
And if you don't do it, and you don't practice it, and you don't play it, like where you practice it, meaning by putting it in practice during those other games.
Right.
And by the way, your last 3 games of the year, you should have every opportunity to do so. I hope we see it. And not just, well, to win a game, we just feed the ball to Saquon.
But that's the thing. They haven't needed to.
That's not the point.
That's not. You're going to need it at some point. You're going to have to. If you have to beat the. Let's say the path is beating Tampa Bay. You have to beat Tampa Bay. You got to beat
like Minnesota.
No. Commanders, Tampa Bay, Detroit to go to the Super Bowl. 2 of those games you are going to have to pass, and you're going to have to pass well. You're going to have to. Your passing offense is going to have to.
Yeah, it's
be
going to
the
have to
big
be
reason
efficient,
for why you
but
win.
still around 25
I think
attempts.
I think more than no.
I really don't think Jalen Hurts needs to throw 30 times in a game to win.
I'm going to bet you right now, and I'm going to bring in a catered breakfast for you, and I mean catered.
Okay, I like that.
Please lose this bet.
If you tell me that they can beat the Detroit Lions, throwing what did you say? 20?
No. You said the games leading up to the Detroit Lions.
I'm saying
I think against the Buccaneers, you can win the game throwing the ball 25 times.
I do not.
But then NFC Championship game. I mean, we want this team to win a Super Bowl.
This isn't about winning it. This isn't like the Sixers.
But you know what?
Where we're going to try to celebrate.
You know what this keeps on going back to?
Yeah.
It keeps on going back to how we individually think they can win football games. And I don't think they can win a football game where Jalen Hurts is dropping back 30-plus times. I think they win football games by leading with the run and trying to make Jalen's life as simple as possible. And I know somebody's going to hear that and take that the wrong way.
But you're making it clear that it's not.
No, this is what I think is best for this football.
And I think that's – I can understand that, Connor, right?
Yeah, but here's the thing.
It all goes back to preference.
It's not going to win,
It's
though.
like baseball. Would you rather a small ball team or a team that hits home runs? Like, we all have preferences, or we all think we have a team that we think, all right, this is how they can win. And how I think the Eagles can win is kind of playing the way that they've been playing. And look, 9 wins in a row kind of backs that up.
There's no, it's not the point. There's 0% reason that they should not be able to win both ways.
Yes.
And right now, if you have faith that the Eagles can win a shootout through the air, you are more confident in where this team is right now than me. And here's the thing. It's not inability. They may be choosing to go run first.
Yeah,
but that's short-sighted because guess what? If it was flipped, this city would be burnt to the ground. If we had this conversation and said, well, they can win passing, but I don't think they can win running the ball, this city would lose their minds.
Yep.
Because a lot of people in the city are run first. And that's not the wrong side, but you can have both. What does Detroit do? They throw the ball, they run the ball.
Yeah, and that's why they're the best team in the NFL.
Okay, do you want to win the Super Bowl or do you want to be the second best team in your conference?
I would like to win the Super Bowl.
But a week ago, you thought they could beat Detroit,
Yeah, they're
right?
on the same
and I
tier.
do believe they could beat Detroit.
But right now, they're still number 1 in like power rankings and all that
they
kind
are.
of stuff.
And yeah, I mean, it's the idea is this, though, is that you got to see this team's going to have to show you more. And honestly, I don't know what I'm going to see when they're playing the Commanders, who are terrible against the pass, the Cowboys, who will be eliminated by the time they play them,
right,
and the Giants in the last game. If they went out and started passing the ball really effectively, I'm against 3 horrible pass defenses. I don't know what I'm going to learn.
But here's what's funny. Like, we talk about how early in the game they're reliant on the pass too much.
Well, they're doing it when they shouldn't. Run to set up the pass, not pass to set up the run. You've got this Saquon Barkley that you speak of.
Yes, that's how I speak of this guy.
Yet in the first quarter, they're saying, let's drop back, and then you have the quarterback not throwing the damn ball.
Right, because he had his worst game of the season.
No, it's not just one game. Andrew, they scored less than 1.5 points in the first quarter all year long. It's not just this week.
No, yeah, I mean,
it's
that's
all
been
year
criminal.
long that he doesn't. He's holding the ball. He's running around. He's taking bad sacks. He's not ditching the ball when he should. He's outside the hash marks, and he takes a sack when he could throw it out of bounds. and live to fight another day.
So here's what we're going to do. Coming up next, we'll get more of your texts and more of your calls. I broke down Hurts pass attempts game by game.
Okay.
In the games that A.J. Brown played in, because obviously he's missed 3.
Right.
And how many percentages of targets that he got during that game. And then we will discuss, is it because Jalen's not looking his way, or is it because this is what the offense is doing? So we'll dive deeper into that coming up next. There are a few games, I'll tell you right now, where I say I wish A.J. got the ball more. But there's also a lot of games where I go, what more did you want? It's Kincade and Salciunas on this Tuesday morning. We hear from you as well right here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Philadelphia 76ers basketball.
7:46 on Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic. Don't forget it's a Tuesday, so coming up for the entire 9 o'clock hour, Amy Fadul.
I can't wait to hear her thoughts on all this.
Yes, me neither, and I can't wait to hear Jeff McLane's reporting on all of this because Jeff McLane will be joining us coming up at 8:10, and I imagine he has done some digging as well.
Guaranteed.
I'm curious to hear his reporting on what A.J. Brown said and then what has since transpired.
Okay.
Because we played the clips of Sirianni and E.J. Smith and Andrew DeCecco of yesterday morning/afternoon following A.J.'s comments. Now there's the whole other added storyline to what Brandon Graham said yesterday and then texting reporters to McManus and John Clark as well.
Well, he saw John Clark at the event.
Right.
So they ran into each other after he did that show. He went and did the event. So it's interesting, though. He clearly went on a clean up on aisle 5 tour.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to go to a call because then it'll go to this Target thing that I've been breaking down. But let's go to Ernie in Mount Airy. What's up, Ernie? Yo, Ernie.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah. Hey, how you doing?
Good, man.
Yeah, how you doing? Listen, Traveling Tuesday, I don't agree with nothing you're saying, man.
Which one of us?
No, me.
Which one of us?
Me.
No, your co-host is right.
Me.
But Valanciunas, man, come on. You got to get
Valanciunas.
Come on, man. Come on.
All right, tell me how I got to look deeper, because then I'll come right back.
Okay, did you see Jamar Chase last night? He got 14 catches.
Yes.
What did Joe Cool do? He got his best receiver, the football.
He sure did.
Come on. Come on. It's a no-brainer. Jalen Hurts, man, he gets him under. He processes too long. He's holding the ball too long, and he's I don't know what he's doing, but it's him, Kellen Moore, and Sirianni. They're gonna screw it up. It's giving me T.O. and Donovan vibes.
I don't buy that. Nah.
Yeah,
that's a little too far. I was
love
with
Donovan.
You.
That's my childhood quarterback, best quarterback in Eagles franchise history. Let's not act like Jalen Hurts doesn't have a better head on his shoulders than 5.
The best. I'm sorry. Randall was better than him.
Oh, I wasn't around for Randall.
I disagree on that because Donovan won a hell of a lot more.
George was better than him.
I'll get the hell out of here, Ernie. See, now I gotta move on.
Yeah.
Connor, I got it. Jesus. Anyways, the point
what does he have to do with this?
Keeps getting in my ear. I get it. Here's what I'm trying to make the point now, because he's doing this whole, did you see Jamar Chase yesterday? I did see Jamar Chase yesterday.
Okay.
He had an amazing game. Connor and I basically won out. Well, no, you're in a 2-week playoff. So
but he saved my season.
The fantasy football implications, big day for us yesterday because of Jamar Chase. Big day for Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase had 18 targets his way.
Right.
That's a great, great day for Jamar Chase. And I knew that Ernie was going to go there, so I figured, why not dig this up? Week 1, Hurts threw the ball 34 times. A.J. Brown, 10 targets. Are you totally against that? Probably you wish a little bit more.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's 34?
34 attempts, 10 targets.
I
A.J.
honestly
Brown's
would
way.
wish in a normal week, I would wish that we would be throwing the ball around 28 times.
All right. So 29% of the targets went A.J. Brown's way.
Uh-huh.
Week 1 for Jamar Chase, because this is the guy that we're going to compare him to. Got 21%.
Okay.
Week 2, Hurts, 25 attempts. A.J. got 9 targets. That's 36%. That same week, Jamar Chase, 14% of the targets. Week 3, Jalen Hurts only threw the ball 14 times. A.J. Brown got 5 targets. That's 36%. Jamar Chase that week, 18% of the targets. Jags game, he leaves at halftime.
How many targets are these numbers, though? That's the point.
For Chase?
How many?
6, 5, 7,
Okay, that's
6, jumps up to 12, 6, 6, 11, 11, 17. Now 17, you go, wow, that's a lot.
That's a wild one. That's the outlier.
Yeah, but you know how many times Joe Burrow threw the ball that game?
What, 50?
56 times.
Yeah.
So he got
That's the outlier game.
30% of the targets.
That's an outlier.
A.J. Brown, 29%, 36%, 36%, 35%, 29%, 32%, 32%. This past week was the egregious game. And he doesn't. 19% of the targets were toward A.J. Brown.
Here's the difference. He doesn't have, when you're talking about right now with A.J. Brown with this team, if you're saying he gets 30% of the targets, can I average it out? Like 30?
Yeah, it seems like
okay.
it.
So that means 70% of the targets are going to others. Other than Devontae Smith, who do you want him targeting?
No, but what I'm trying to make the point.
No, but you got to answer that question.
Yeah, Devontae, Saquon's going to get some checkdowns. Dallas Goedert's going to get his.
Saquon gets very few checkdowns. How many times does that happen?
Dallas Goedert's going to get his.
Dallas Goedert has not played in the majority of those games.
No, I know, but
so I'm saying to you is Dallas Goedert wasn't in the games you're pointing to, the majority of them.
But
and Saquon Barkley rarely gets a check down.
But so we're saying A.J. Brown's a top 5 receiver, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Are we saying that Jamar Chase is a top 5 receiver, right?
Yes.
21%, 14%, 18%, 19%, 31%, 21%, 24%.
There's a difference in a game, too, when a team is just, first of all, too, playing in garbage time. We're just going to take one guy away. It's garbage time. Cincinnati's been trailing on almost every game.
Yeah,
Eagles have been leading
and what have
in
they been
almost
doing?
every game.
Running the football.
The Eagles have been leading in almost every game.
Yeah,
but they're choosing to do a system that's not going to pay off. This is not going to this way of doing business is not going to win you.
Well, then that's a different conversation.
No, but that's the conversation.
Is AJ Brown getting enough targets?
Yes, he's
not. How many
not.
targets in a game where Jalen Hurts throws the ball 14 times? Do you want all 14 of them to go to AJ Brown?
If you're telling me the average is 30%, I want to know what the hell you're doing with the other 70%.
Jamar Chase's average is under 30%.
No, if you're going with an our team, our game, what we're talking about. If you're saying to me 30% is A.J. Brown's average, 70% of the targets are going to other people, what the hell are you doing? Because you would say Devontae Smith doesn't deserve as many targets as A.J.
Correct.
Give Devontae 25.
Right.
You rarely throw the ball to Saquon. Rarely.
Correct.
So who the hell are you throwing to? Stop getting cute. Stop going with stuff where you won't think. This is a guy who is one of the best contested ball wide receivers in the NFL. Throw the damn ball. Let him have a chance to make plays. There's no reason he should be getting 30% and 70% when it's Joe Bag of Donuts. Dallas Goedert has rarely been playing this year.
Like, listen, that's exactly it. You have to get the ball to your best players. All right, and the best interest of the team is to get the ball to the best players.
Yeah, and you're getting the ball to your best player, and that's Saquon Barkley.
Oh, yeah, and that's so damn hypocritical because if you were getting the ball to A.J. Brown in the passing game and they couldn't run the ball worth a dime, you would be so annoyed that they're not running the football the way that you want them to. That's the thing. And people are going to say, oh, they're winning. Great. They're winning now. The margins for victory get tighter when you get in the postseason.
But they're winning the way that I think they are best at.
Okay.
That's what it keeps on getting back to.
That's not the point. You need to be able to do both. You are giving too much grace to the Eagles for getting away with not being good at something they should be.
I can't believe.
Well, then that's a quarterback conversation.
I can't believe. Well, part of it is.
Yeah.
Part of it is.
And you guys know how I feel. I don't think as highly of Hurts as a lot of people.
A.J. Brown is the most contested wide receiver on the team. The guy the other teams take away. That's A.J. That is Jalen also not being willing to let it rip. And to throw the ball to your best receiver.
And why is he not letting it rip? Because he was letting it rip and getting intercepted. And
then
they wanted him to.
Then you got to make better decisions with the football.
And the better decision is to not let it rip sometimes. For him.
Sometimes, yes. Not all the time.
This past game was egregious. We are not disagreeing with that.
30% is pathetic.
All right. We got today's headlines with Connor Thomas at 8:05, and then Jeff McLane joins us at 8:10. It is Kincade and Salciunas on this Tuesday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
BG Speaks Out. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Veterans exposed to toxins while serving at home or abroad may be eligible for VA care and disability payments. Apply now at choose.va.gov. Brandon Graham made some headlines last night talking about a couple of his teammates on the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, before we get into the drama a little bit that has come out of nowhere with this Birds team, let's remind everybody they are 11-2. They clinched a playoff berth this weekend by taking down the Carolina Panthers, and they have 9 straight victories. But over those 9 straight victories, the focal point of the team has been the rushing attack on the offensive side of the ball. And A.J. Brown spoke out on Sunday about passing not being up to snuff. And Nick Sirianni echoed those sentiments yesterday.
It's no secret that we weren't up to our standard in that area yesterday. And so it's just going back to work. What I do know, I love that guys care. That just leads into getting better.
So how does Brandon Graham get involved in all of this? Well, publicly last night he said that things have changed with Brown and Hurts' relationship, and there are things that need to be worked out. Graham later apologized for making the comments publicly and said he misread the situation. But now, well, there's smoke, and normally when there's smoke, there may be a little bit of fire. We'll keep an eye on that for the Birds. The Flyers take on the Blue Jackets tonight, 7 p.m. in Columbus. You can hear that game live here on The Fanatic. The Phillies signed closer Jordan Romano yesterday to a one-year deal. Jeff McLane joins us coming up next. Amy Fadul will join us for the entire 9 o'clock hour. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Tyrone Johnson.
Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. We have today's headlines with Connor Thomas coming up at 8:05. Our man Jeff McLane will join the show at 8:10. I'm curious to hear what he has to say about this situation and what digging he has done. Now, as we know, Jeff is reporter. He is a reporter. He's not
an opinionator.
So he's a reporter. So I imagine the great reporter that he has done some digging on the situation. But as we said last segment, I'm curious for the timeline. Did he talk to people after what A.J. Brown had to say Sunday? And has he since talked to people about what took place yesterday with Brandon Graham? And then you saw the reports from Tim McMahon, not reports, the quotes from Tim McManus and John Clark, because they were able to speak to BG because BG was trying to walk back or clarify his comments.
Clean up on aisle 5.
Yeah.
I guarantee you the minute that was done, Senior VP of Communications was on the phone with him.
Yeah.
This is how you clean it up. Get out there. Make sure you get the word out.
And, oh, by the way, the cleanup on aisle 5, when you tried grabbing the pickle jar and then you dropped it, don't blame anybody else.
Exactly.
Because now the media is overblowing this.
I still don't understand why. And again, I'll use grown man, and people take offense to it. I'll use grown man here. That grown man speaking on other two people's private business. And it's private business. If they're having a problem between the two of them, it's their business. I don't understand why you're yapping about it.
Right.
I just don't get it.
No, it makes no sense. And then this also has led to a conversation about the uses of A.J. Brown. And again, I wish that they could use them more too. And they could.
Sure.
But I also look at it and I go, all right, there was a game where Jalen Hurts threw the ball 14 times. How many more times do you want A.J. to get the ball? But then that goes to a conversation about whether or not you can win this way. And I don't know. Bill gave us the numbers last week, Connor, during the pregame show about
you think you can?
14 out of the last 15 Super Bowl champions were all top 10 passing offenses, top 15. I forget the exact total. But if that's not the strength of this team, it's like a basketball team. If they don't have any 3-point, I can't believe I'm going back to this. The Sixers team with Al Horford, that wasn't a 3-point shooting team, but that's what Brett Brown tried to get them to do because he believed that's the only way you can win. So he made a team try to capitalize on their weakness because that's what the league tells you to do.
Okay.
But if that's not your strength, why would you force yourself to do something that you might not be good at?
Right, but who are the teams that win? The teams that shoot the three well. You can say this isn't our strength, so we're not going to play to what it seems like champions do.
But they never tried it. And not to get back on the Sixers thing, they never tried it. So they're doing look, giddy up. This is what the offense is going to be come playoff time. I don't think round one they're all of a sudden going to say, "Hey, we're a pass first offense."
Here's where you're crazy because we're not asking Tyrod Taylor to do this. We're not asking Cooper Rush to do this. We have seen Jalen Hurts be a guy that puts up gaudy numbers through the passing game in years past. He's with a lesser offense. So he's capable, or at least his history would tell you he's capable. You need to, and I don't care if it feels like force feeding, you need to force feed passing offense the next 4 weeks, or we're going to go into the postseason worried that if they get in a shootout, they're going home.
Well, that's if you're worried about it.
And you should be.
I think you can try to control the clock. Look, it's a soft style. Well, it's not soft because they're running the football and they're pounding the football and all that kind of stuff, but it might be their best way to try to win a football game. This team, as long as the defense is playing well in those games, and they have been all season long. All right, it is 8:05. It is time now for today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
What we got? Hello, gentlemen. We got a lot of stuff today that has nothing to do with the Philadelphia Eagles, so a little break from the drama. Let's start with the Philadelphia Phillies, who signed closer Jordan Romano yesterday to a 1-year deal, adding to the bullpen with Carlos Estevez and Jeff Hoffman, currently free agents. He was an all-star in 2022 and 2023 with the Toronto Blue Jays. Last year, shortened injury season, only threw 13 innings. What are your guys' thoughts on the signing? How do you feel?
I think it's a good move because it's cost-effective. The closing market's a lot more expensive, but now the question is what's next. It's kind of like how I felt about the Schwarber signing a couple years ago. All right, great. What's next? And then they got Castellanos, and I was happy. It's major. I need a little bit more than just Romano to be like, all right, we're back.
Major risky as far as the injury situation, but I love the arm. Like,
Yeah.
I love the guy. If you tell me that he's going to be healthy, I give this an A.
Right.
But you're you're letting two closers go. And this is one of the replacements that's a risk. I don't know.
And it goes back to how do they utilize him? Are they going to use him as a ninth inning guy, or are they going to use him as the high leverage 8th inning, 7th inning, depending on the spot?
And I will share with you as the Locked On Phillies podcast host.
Oh, nice.
I have it on pretty good authority that the Phillies will at least and will potentially kick the tires with Max Fried.
I gotcha.
I don't know if they would end up in that sweepstakes where they'd get into it, but that would tell me maybe Suarez could go. Who knows?
I like kicking the tire.
Yeah, you have to do that.
Hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to do that.
You just kick it lightly. You see, is
Kick
there
it
air?
lightly,
No
dopey.
air? Okay, we'll see. All right, we also have to get into this from a Fox pregame show from the NFL this weekend. I don't know if you guys saw Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski talking about their former head coach, but Bill Belichick, there's been some rumors that he could go to the college ranks, and UNC is trying to recruit him to be their next head football coach. And Brady and Gronk had a little bit to say about what Bill Belichick could be like trying to recruit young athletes to his college.
Belichick is actually interviewing for college jobs? Can you imagine him coaching college?
No.
Absolutely not. Recruiting an 18-year-old?
If you really want to come here, I mean, we don't really want you anyway, but I mean, I guess you could come. We'll figure out if you play.
If you bring your parents and use us as a third party, you're gone. You're off the team.
I love that. I love hearing kind of like the inside perspective from what it's like to play under Bill Belichick.
Did you hear, though, about why he is doing this?
His son.
So his son gets to have the job when he leaves.
Yeah.
He brings his son in, and he's getting a job for his son.
That's part of the deal.
That's part of the deal is that I'll come in and I'll be your head coach, and then it'll be handed off to Steven when I retire.
Now, the one thing that could still work for Hoodie in college is it's like the Chip Kelly theory. You can talk to 18-year-olds that way. You can't try to coach high-paid grown men that way. Maybe Hoodie can get a couple of good years at UNC because he's Bill Belichick. That's still there, right? The pedigree's still there. If you're an 18-year-old kid, you're going, yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely.
The greatest head coach in the history of the NFL. I mean, that's yes, sir.
Yeah, it's going to be. I don't think he'd be able to adjust. I think this is a total smokescreen, trying to get his kid a job. The only person that would approve of this strategy is LeBron.
Well, here's the thing. Like, if you're UNC, if we were in Chapel Hill right now doing this show, you trade however many years of Belichick for however many years of Steve Belichick.
Oh, they want it.
In a heartbeat.
Oh gosh, yeah. They want it. There's no question.
Yeah.
They want that.
All right, let's round out with something that we started the show with before we get to our guy, Jeff McLane.
Are you concerned that what Brandon Graham brought to light yesterday could derail the season?
I don't see, like, I'm more concerned than you guys, and I don't think this is something to just say, oh, well, it's a nothing burger outside of, like, the targets conversation. Like, I think there's something deeper here when it comes to the relationship between quarterback and wide receiver one. Like, that just
last week, they were, dapping up on the field. They did the Fresh Prince.
Yeah, I'm not saying they hate each other, but
no,
Brandon Graham didn't bring that up for no reason.
Brandon Graham's not making something up.
No, I understand that.
Then no matter what the backtracking tour he goes on. But, and there's excitement in the moment. And there's friendship.
Yeah.
Teammates who don't even dig each other can have excitement in the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think that you and I both, on the record, we do not think this story will have anything about derailing the 2024 season. I would like people to act more adult.
Right. That
really
would be great. And maybe that's why BG felt the need to say what he had to say.
Sure.
But I just don't think he necessarily handled it appropriately either. So good job, Connor, with today's headlines. We are about to speak to our man, Jeff McLane. And, of course, don't forget to experience the new look of Inquirer Sports, where fans can read, watch, and listen to their favorite reporters and columnists. Just go to theinquirer.com/sports.
And if you don't listen to Jeff McLane's podcast, you are missing out if you're a big Birds fan.
Yes, the Uncovering the Birds podcast. It's tremendous.
One of my buddies living out of town, McLane is like his lifeline.
Well, let's head to the Comcast Business Hotline. Every day in business, big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. From the Inquirer, Inquirer.com, that's Jeff McLane. Jeff, good morning. How are we?
Hey, guys. Good morning.
Just another day when it comes to covering the Philadelphia Eagles, Jeff. So I kind of want to go. I want to back up a little bit before we talk about what took place yesterday. On Sunday, A.J. Brown seemed a little displeased about the offense. He talked about the passing game and how that needs to improve. Is there anything more to it than maybe he was just upset that he was open and didn't get the ball thrown his way on Sunday?
Oh, yeah. I don't, certainly I think A.J. wants the ball and he wants to impact the game and certainly wants to get his. But I think he's looking also at the big picture, too. Just, hey, if we need to get, and he said this much, look, I don't want this biting us in the end is what he said. And, I think he understands that, at some point that the passing offense is going to need to carry the day. And, they've tilted so far onto one end and understandably so, and it's been successful with the run game. It's probably atrophied the passing game, and I think that's kind of part of his concern. And with Devontae Smith as well, he expressed his frustration and during his press conference after the game as well, and said that he wasn't happy with the way the team had performed, and so I just don't want to say this is all entirely AJ. AJ was a little more terse in his responses, although it's a little later in the interview he did kind of offer up a little more in terms of what he wants moving forward. But I think this is more than anything. I think it's a concern for the general state of the passing offense.
So is it more directed to Hurts because he was open on Sunday and Hurts didn't pull the trigger, or do you think this is more directed to the amount of attempts, the amount of dropbacks for Jalen Hurts, and he thinks that they need to start throwing the football more in order to win something big?
Well, I don't know. I have to ask AJ that question wasn't asked.
When you see this offense, do you believe this is an offense that you've watched through 13 games that is convertible to being able to win in the postseason against the elite teams in the NFL?
Yeah, I do. We just saw them, beat the Ravens in Baltimore. Now, that's not I would say.
They're still really good. They're still really good.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a typical Baltimore defense that we're accustomed to. They'll have a good test this Sunday against the Steelers. They have a really good defensive front, probably the best that they will face this entire season. So that'll give us a better indicator. But yeah, look, again, there's a reason why you want to have obviously a top quarterback in this elite quarterback in this league, right? Because the scales have tilted towards favoring pass-happy offenses, and that's what we've seen over the last how many years in terms of what teams eventually win the Super Bowl. Now you can win it running and with a strong defense, but the better odds typically come when you have an elite quarterback, and when pressed to throw, especially in late game situations, he can get it done. And that's kind of been a question surrounding Jalen Hurts for a while now. It's can he carry the offense on the strength of his passing? We've seen him do it at times before, absolutely. And Jalen still, even during the stretch, has had to come up with big throws and has had to change plays at the line and fend off the blitz, and he does it every now and then. He's been very diligent with how he's handled the ball. Just two turnovers in the last 10, 11 games. So it's something that he can do. But and I asked this question at the end of my column after the game when Nick Sirianni said, "Well, what if Leggett had scored that touchdown? What you're thinking?" He's like, "Well, I got 52 seconds, 3 timeouts. Let's go." I don't know if they get it done. And is some of that hurts, or is that some of what's happened with the offense, the passing offense, because they've gone so far into the run game, and and of course that would have been into the win, and whether Jake Elliott would have been get it done by kicking a field goal. But I think these are all valid questions about the offense right now as they head into the postseason, because that's obviously where they're going now after clinching.
Sure. You believe they will try to make an emphasis on trying to throw the football more, maybe toward the end of this season, to try to, I don't know, get the momentum. I know Jalen Hurts doesn't believe in momentum, but try to get the momentum in the passing game going.
Yeah, well, I think he dropped the throw more than they ran on Sunday. Took 4 sacks, and 21 passes, took 4 sacks, and I think he scrambled it 3 times. And the problem was they weren't sustainable on the offense, and they really didn't run that many plays. And the defense was on the field a fair amount of the time, because it was like definitely a bend but not break type of a day for them. So that was part of the issue. They weren't playing as much complementary football as they have in the past. Look, I mean, there's an opportunity. There's a chance that if they lose this Sunday and the Lions win, that the Eagles have 3 games that are just meaningless, in terms of the playoff outcome. They'll be locked in a number 2 seed, and it'll be interesting to see how they approach those games. I'm not getting too far ahead of myself here, but there could be an opportunity maybe for 1 or 2 of those games just to all right, let's see. Let's try and get this going. I think they've tried to get it going, and I think for variable reasons, it just hasn't been clicking. That being said, this is just one game. Yeah, I think there have been kind of lingering issues about the passing offense that are still out there, and this is the reason why they've gone in this direction is because what you saw in the first 4 games to some extent, and what you saw at the end of last year is it's Jalen sometimes just can't get it done, and when you have a guy like Saquon Barkley, and you have a great run blocking offensive line, although they're a good passing blocking offensive line too. This is what it's the direction that it has needed to go for this offense.
Cooper DeJean's had a great rookie year. He's been fantastic. Sunday was not his best day. Was there a little bit of a blueprint maybe that you believe opposing teams are going to use to try to exploit him a little bit?
No, I don't think it was a major. Look, Adam Thielen's been around a long time. He's a really savvy route runner. He doesn't have quite the legs that he has had in the past, and that wasn't as much the issue, which is that he was using leverage to his advantage. And Cooper DeJean wasn't the only one. Adam Thielen got a couple of other cornerbacks as well too. He's a rookie. I think the fact that he was playing so well may have kind of raised expectations too much.
Sure.
He's going to have games like this, and that's just a tough position to play in this league. He's going to have some tougher tests too, because he's going to have guys that are a lot more athletic. But I'm not overly concerned too much about Cooper.
What will be the aftermath of what took place yesterday with Brandon Graham and what he said on a media hit, and then of course his text toward some of your colleagues? Obviously, Tim McManus was one of them. What's the aftermath now, Jeff?
Yeah, I got that text last night too as well. BJ's walked back his comments to some extent, about AJ and Jalen. I'd have to do a lot more reporting on this. I mean, look, I know some stuff. I know that you have a lot of strong personalities in that building. This is this is sausage making, right?
Sure.
When you get in there, and it's just you gotta kind of handle all this when you're Nick Sirianni and you're kind of leaders there in the building. And as reported last year with Jalen Hurts, that became a little bit of an issue that he needed to open up more, and he was kind of too much inside his head, and the leaders needed that from him in certain circumstances, because I guess when things happen, maybe he wasn't as approachable. You can't go to him. I've heard that Jalen's been a lot better this year, and I did a podcast episode on it last month, and in fact, I talked to BG about it, and he said, Jalen is definitely making more of an effort to be open with guys, doing stuff outside the building, or just trying to make it more of an effort, because he is a stoic guy. He is kind of a reserve guy and keeps to himself, and really isn't a kind of a rah-rah type leader. And but that doesn't make it wrong. That just makes it who he is. But at times, it can affect guys if they're not getting what they need sometimes. And look, it's just just a lot of different personalities in that building, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And I think that you're seeing a little bit of that kind of come out in BG's comments, but certainly the way he handled it is not the way the Eagles wanted him to handle it. And I know for a fact there were people in the building that had to get him on the line and get him to immediately correct what he had, or at least walk back what he had said.
So real quick, do you believe there is something there? Because of course we get the tweets, and I'm sure you do as well, about how the media is going to overblow this. Is there something there?
I have to do more reporting.
Yep.
Okay. Understand, Jeff.
Yeah.
Good job.
I'm not going to speculate.
No,
Sure.
I understand. Look, we totally respect that. We totally understand it.
That's
Listen,
why
man,
I listen to your podcast.
Damn right we do. Uncovering the Birds. We can't wait for another episode of it, man. We appreciate the time as always, and we can't wait to talk to you again next week.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
There he's Jeff McLane from the Philadelphia Inquirer, Inquirer.com. Now, he did say he
He
heard
did.
some things.
Yes.
I thought he was going to give us a little something there, but he didn't. That's okay. I totally respect
but he'll
it.
use it. He'll go out there and he'll get it confirmed.
But he did say,
we already have heard from other people that they obviously have heard things too.
yeah. So the whole media's blowing this out of proportion.
No.
Not the case, guys.
No.
So let's talk more about that coming up next as well. Don't forget, Amy Fadul will join us for the entire 9 o'clock hour.
And
we
she's
will
a journalist.
Yes, she is. And we will do our second opinion segment as well. Second thoughts on what happened during the Eagles-Panthers game on Sunday. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A rocky start to the week for the Birds. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by WorldwideStereo.com. Looking for a gift idea this year? From turntables and headphones, the home theaters, Worldwide Stereo has it all. Save big on the perfect gift. Visit Worldwide Stereo in Montgomeryville or online at WorldwideStereo.com. The Eagles have had a rocky start to their week following the win over the Carolina Panthers. A.J. Brown talked after the game about there being a bit of a disconnect in the passing game, and Nick Sirianni took to the podium for his day after press conference yesterday to discuss that and agreed with his star wide receiver.
It's no secret that we weren't up to our standard in that area yesterday, and so it's just going back to work. What I do know, I love that guys care. That just leads into getting better.
And then things kind of hit the fan a little bit as Brandon Graham said publicly that things have changed with A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts' relationship, and there are things that need to be worked out. Now, Graham later apologized for making the comments publicly, but the damage has been done. Now there's conversations across the city about the relationship between those two guys and whether or not that can be worked out. The Eagles are 11-2. They've already clinched a postseason spot, and they seem to be in good shape on their 9-game winning streak on the field, but we saw last year how off the field can affect things. The Flyers take on the Blue Jackets in Columbus tonight at 7 p.m. You can hear that game here on The Fanatic. The Phillies signed closer Jordan Romano yesterday to a 1-year deal. Amy Fadul will join us for the entire 9 o'clock hour. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Ricky Vitalico.
With 150 megabit per second internet. EcoBill and autopay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra.
Hey, it's Ricky Bo. In Philly, we love our home sports teams. That's why when anything happens to your home, you must go with the home team. For over 26 years, McLane Bros have been your local experts, taking care of everything from plumbing and electrical to HVAC and...
.32 on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Quick shout out to our man Mike Vito, broadcast coordinator. He brought in some Philly pretzel factory. We just crushed some pretzel dogs.
Yum!
Which is my favorite snack in the world. I just try to limit the pretzel dog intake, but
well, Chubby Tunas could emerge.
Yeah, you guys have been attacking me recently, trying to get me to return to a self that I never want to be.
I didn't do anything.
Yeah,
it happens.
You're right. But John's been trying. The brownies. Pretzel dogs.
I'm in training mode over here.
What, are you on a marathon?
I am. Have I told you about that?
I love that you're doing that, by the way.
No, it's awesome. It's just
I love the Connor.
I've only heard about it 6,000 times.
Connor, in typical golden retriever fashion, just has a challenge thrown his way, and he's like, "I'll do it."
Yeah, sure. Why not?
And I. By the way, do you get sponsors for that and stuff?
I can. I don't think so. I don't know.
No, I didn't know if it was
training.
I didn't know if it was a spot. No, I'm talking about a sponsor for is it for charity?
Oh, no, I think no. It's for the Connor Thomas Foundation.
Let's try to make that happen.
It's for the Human Fund.
All right, so today's obviously been all about what Brandon Graham had to say yesterday, and interesting that Jeff McLane also got the text. Was that does BG have a group text?
Yeah, I think he put it out to. No, I think he just sent that text to a bunch of people.
If you're Brandon Graham, you're
not a group.
You're
not
Super
a group
Bowl
text.
champion, not a group text. You're going individual.
No, you're going individual because you're trying to make it seem like each of the guys has personal.
Right. I love BG. All right. Thank you, 97.5. Thank you, BG, for the content. I love Brandon Graham, but don't do
He's
the
a great individual.
The media is why Sean Desai got fired last year, and then go to the media to try to clean up your mess.
Yes.
Come on, man.
Can't do that.
Come on, man. You can't try to pin us as the enemy and then try to use us to help you.
And by the way, when you are a player, and I hosted many of these type of shows.
Yes.
With athletes and coaches in my career. And I always told them, the minute you do one of these shows, you're acting in a media role.
Yeah.
You're acting in a role of you're making news. You're commenting on things. So be prepared to do so every time. But we all think very highly of Brandon Graham.
Yeah, absolutely.
This was a misstep.
Yeah, it was.
Absolute misstep.
So obviously we've talked more about that. We haven't talked as much about the game itself, but that's the beauty of the Second Opinion segment brought to us by our friends at the CMOH. Johnny, you got to tell us a little bit more about them coming up.
They're absolutely awesome.
All right, hit the open there, Connor.
You might not always agree with what you hear. Sometimes you need a second opinion. Brought to you by the consultants in medical oncology and hematology.
Tell us about them, Johnny. They've helped you out a little bit.
Yeah, they've helped me out. I'm here today to do the show because of the fine crew there, including 3 Sprandio brothers. Well, 2 brothers and a father. And Dad's the brains of the operation, let me tell you. So, great stuff. Great nurses, great doctors, great support staff. You will love them. Make sure they are either your first opinion or at least your second if you get a cancer diagnosis in your family.
All right, I'll start. I think I went on this rant earlier in the year, but I'm going to use it now in my Second Opinion segment, even though it's been like a first opinion of mine recently. And I'm glad I was at the game yesterday because usually I watch the game at my house by myself, right? I take the notes. Christy's in the house, Cooper's in the house, but nobody's sitting down watching. Every time I see a screen pass, I lose my mind because I don't think they've run a successful screen pass in the Nick Sirianni era. I really don't. Whether it's been designed for a running back, a wide receiver, a tight end, I don't think I'm going too far in saying that. I screamed it at the link on Sunday, and the guy in front of me was like, dude, thank you. I've been saying this to my friends all season long. I don't know what it is about this team and the inability to run a successful screen pass, and the reason why it would be nice, as Andrew DeCecco would say, behoove them. It would behoove them to get that going because of the passing game, and if it's struggling and you're running the ball, a screen pass should be almost automatic for this team. Especially when defenses are bringing pressure as quick as they are. You allow a free blitzer and Saquon gets out in space with blockers in front of him. it should be automatic for this team. But for whatever reason, man, it just isn't. And you saw it again on Sunday.
My second opinion segment has always been positive this year on almost every one. It's not today.
Uh-oh.
In the Baltimore game, the first game without Brandon Graham, he was not missed. With all due respect, they managed to go up against one of the most elusive quarterbacks that the sport has ever known and really contain his damage.
Yeah.
And did a great job. Sunday was not a very good job.
No, it was not.
They did not have good contain on a rookie quarterback, second-year quarterback, who is pretty much just coming into his own, and that is very mediocre at that. I was very disappointed in the pass rush, and more importantly, the contain, and I do worry about that potentially moving forward.
Yeah, remember, I thought there was going to be a defensive touchdown on Sunday. That was like my big prediction. Because I thought it would be, they get to Bryce Young, he makes a mistake, he gets stripped or something, and then they bring it back to the house. But you're right. I mean, he was pretty clean all game. Jersey didn't get all that dirty. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on as the season goes on, especially now that these guys are going to be playing as many snaps as they are. Like, Jalen Hunt actually had a good game on Sunday. He made some big plays, but how many snaps is Jalen Hunt going to play until he starts feeling it a little bit? I hear you, Johnny. Connor?
I mean, this one's light work for me. There are two guys that we haven't even talked about that had awesome games on Sunday, and I'm never going to let a great game by a linebacker in the city go again. Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean were awesome. They had 12 for Nakobe Dean in the tackles department, 11 for Zach Bond, a sack for Zach Bond, 3 tackles for loss for him as well. It's just, they are consistently one of the best linebacking tandems in the NFL this year. It's not just, Zach Bond is an all-pro caliber linebacker. Nakobe Dean has been amazing. He hasn't played quite to that level that Zach Bond has been at, and that's a high level to reach, but these two paired together is the single most impressive thing Vic Fangio has done with this defense this year.
Yeah.
Bar none.
And Chuba Hubbard.
Bar none.
I know Chuba Hubbard rushed for 92 yards. He's on 26 carries, so only 3.5 yards per carry. If he did pass the first level of that defensive line, to Connor's point, Bond and Dean were there to bring him down. Another good weekend for the linebackers.
Good news.
Beautiful.
Good news.
Isn't that nice?
You need good news? CMOH, the consultants in medical oncology and hematology, they are amazing.
Damn
right.
As
is
they are.
Everybody that is a part of that whole firm, they're amazing.
All right, that's our second opinion segment. Now, Connor, real quick, because we have not gone to the text line pretty much. We've had a lot of callers today. It's been a very spirited day on the show, and it's all started from last night's comments by an Eagle legend in Brandon Graham. But what do we have on the text line?
We have a lot of people, believe it or not, checking in.
I'm not surprised by that.
Brady from Norristown starts us off by saying this Brandon Graham drama is something that will contribute to the Eagles' downfall this year. With the terrible
believe it.
With the terrible luck we have in this city, we're always looking for a shoe to drop, and this feels like it could be that shoe.
So, again, our main question today, way back in the 6 o'clock hour, was whether or not you were concerned that this could derail the season. And John and I said no. Connor's
we do not believe
not as confident as us, but isn't saying, yeah, this is the end. Right away, that texter says, yeah, this is the end. Now, the other thing that we are getting into today as well is why are you so quick to blame the media for something like this and not the players themselves, hold the players accountable? Lex tweeted you, both of us, way back at 6:30 this morning, and is blaming the media. Fans and media turned something that wasn't an issue in the passing offense into a big deal because of one game. We escaped the trap game, and now we're in trouble. And A.J. Brown was the person that first started talking about the passing game.
And again, I can't do this. Like, I cannot do this with this. Did we say they're in trouble?
No.
Okay. So immediately, it's just you're not listening.
Right.
I can't answer that when you're saying stuff that we didn't say.
But again, it's not like during the post-game show we're talking about how bad the passing game was. Yes, I'm sure Ray and Kevin Cooney were, but it was A.J. Brown himself that said that that's something that they need to work on. So don't say that this is just media-driven when the players themselves
are
the ones talking about it.
Not us.
Oh, man. All right, don't forget, Amy Fadul comes your way at 9 o'clock. And maybe we take a minute and have some fun and talk about the Dallas Cowboys next. We'll do that as well. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now, a Birds Insider Update.
found agreement today, Andrew.
Yeah, like I've gone on this rant before. I'm surprised Connor didn't know this. I'm anti-Rudolph. Because Rudolph, like, he caved.
He totally caved.
The reindeers were horrible to him, and Santa who goes up to him, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? Santa, you had every opportunity to shut down what those reindeers were doing to Rudolph, and you didn't. So you know what? Bad leadership. And if I was Rudolph, I'd say, nah, you know what, big man? Bad publicity's coming your way. Kids aren't getting...
Christmas.
Yeah, but he said, go save Christmas yourself.
That's what I would say. You're Mr. Magic?
No, dude. Put that aside and make sense. This is like if A.J. Brown in the Super Bowl had these conversations about the passing attack, and then they threw him the ball when he was open, and he said, I'm going to drop it because screw you guys. No, you make the play. You lead the sleigh. You save Christmas.
Here's where you're wrong. Where you're wrong. Jalen Hurts ain't being vixen going, screw you, A.J. No. Nick Sirianni's not. Nick Sirianni talks about during his press conferences how AJ needs the ball more. Santa Claus turned his eye. Santa Claus said, "Oh, there's bullying going on."
Santa Claus turned his eye to bullying.
Yeah,
which I don't appreciate.
So if I'm Rudolph, I'm saying, "Screw you, big man."
10 people are mean to you, and you ruin Christmas for the whole world. Okay, I see where your guys' priorities lie.
Look, man,
big eye guys.
They wouldn't even let him. They would not even let him play in any reindeer games. All right.
I mean, seriously.
Come on.
There's an eye in Kincade. There's an eye in Salciunas. There's no eye in Thomas.
It's unbelievable.
I'm out there with my team.
They are.
Just Google Rudolph gets his revenge. No, I'm serious. Do yourself a favor. All fair.
Okay. All fair.
That's, look, they deserved it. They had what was coming their way. All right, Connor, you got all chesty with me during one of the breaks, and I got numbers for you. I don't even know what these numbers are.
I want to hear them, though.
Before we talk about the demise of the Cowboys, what are these numbers that you're ready to try to throw my way?
All right, so Jalen Hurts' best game so far this year through the air, 311 yards, right? And I'm also going to give you his best passing touchdowns by number. It's 2. So even if you combine those, they didn't happen in the same game, but 311 yards and 2 passing touchdowns is the mark of the peak that we've seen from Jalen Hurts this year. This is why they can't be a totally run-dependent team and need to be multiple. Because every other quarterback on the NFC side of the equation that is a potential playoff quarterback blows those numbers out of the water. Jared Goff has 412-4. Sam Darnold has 347-5. Jordan Love has 389-4. Baker Mayfield has 370-4. Geno Smith has 395-3. Kirk Cousins has 509-4. Matt Stafford 320.
Now hold on a
and
second.
4.
I get what you're going with here, but when it comes to the touchdowns, the Eagles are 7th in total points this season. So I don't care how you get into the end zone. You just got to get in the end zone. And so good for Baker Mayfield for having a game where he threw 5 touchdown passes. Has he had a game where he's done 3 tush pushes?
No, but that's the thing.
If you get in the end zone, you get in the end zone. Dude.
You cannot say, I don't care about how you get into the end zone.
I totally say it.
That is majorly short-sighted.
I think it's short-sighted.
And you can enjoy where we're at right now. But then guess what? Tell John to cancel his reservations. And you don't worry about doing the show for the NFC Championship game. Because if you're going to focus on what wins in December, you're going to miss what wins in January.
Now remember, nothing's keeping you from working NFC Championship.
No, I think they still get there.
You guys are winning. You guys, if they get 2 home games, I believe they will win both of them. And if they get 3 home games, I believe they're going to win both of them, potentially 2.
Yeah, I'd like the sound of that.
Like the chances of that.
But what do you mean, like, you have to score touchdowns certain ways? If you get in the end zone, you get in the end zone.
You have to be able to throw the ball in the modern NFL.
Throw the ball.
But, okay, I'm not disagreeing with you, but they're top 7 in scoring. If
that's not the argument. You say I'm not disagreeing.
In scoring, then okay, but they're 7th.
You say I'm not disagreeing, then you say something totally different. I'm not arguing their ability to score the football. I'm arguing that they can't be multiple. And they haven't been multiple for a while now because they lean too heavily on the running game. And the other teams you're going to play, guess what? They're dual threat. And the Eagles right now don't feel like a dual threat team. They feel like a damn good rushing attack that could possibly win it all like that. But I want the best chance. And the best chance is to be able to do both.
Chiefs are dual threat. Buffalo's offense, dual threat. The Detroit Lions, dual threat. Minnesota, would you say dual threat, or is
less
that
so?
Less so. Green Bay, yes.
Yeah, definitely
dual threat. So, what you're asking the Eagles to do is to navigate. We're going to be a one-dimensional offense primarily against teams that are dual. So that means you're making the job so much easier for opposing defenses.
Well, if it's been so easy, how come they haven't been able to stop Saquon?
What I'm saying is that you're not going to, but it's a totally different situation in a regular season game against mediocre opponents, too. You had to struggle to beat the Jags, the Browns.
Well, again, the Jags thing was
the Carolina.
That was Sirianni.
What was? He had a bad day.
Yeah.
What was Sunday?
It was a bad game.
I understand. You're talking about bad teams And that primarily run offense leaves you in really tight games.
We weren't talking about this 4 days ago.
No, we weren't talking about
that. We
No,
absolutely
we've
had
been
this
talking
conversation.
about this.
You were, but
okay, then I was right.
No, we have been talking about this.
No, you won't be right until the season's over. If they lose because Jalen Hurts doesn't throw the ball 25 plus times in a playoff game, then I'll say you're
Super
right.
Bowls. I know I'm right. History tells you for 20 years that I'm right, and everyone just wants to all of a sudden just say it's okay to not throw in 2024.
It's not 64. It's 24.
All right, I'm going to look up passing attempts in the Super Bowl over the last couple of years.
This has been our most back and forth contentious. I like it.
Well,
it's been fun.
It's been fun, and look, the Eagles are 11-2, which has been fun as well. So Amy's going to join us for the entire 9 o'clock hour,
and she'll bring discipline and journalistic integrity.
Somebody needs to on the show. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A bump in the road for the Birds. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by Bet Parks. Join Seth Joyner and D Gunn for the Bet Parks pre- and post-game shows. Live at Parks Casino for every Birds game. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. The Eagles have hit a little bump in the road. Now, how big will it be? That's going to be determined over the coming weeks, but it's not on the field. At 11-2, 9 straight victories, they've already clinched a postseason berth. But there were comments after Sunday's win over the Panthers by A.J. Brown about the passing game needing to be better. And then Nick Sirianni talked about it in his day after press conference.
It's no secret that we weren't up to our standard in that area yesterday. And so it's just going back to work. What I do know, I love that guys care. That just leads into getting better.
Which under normal circumstances would just be something to keep an eye on. They practice on throwing game. Of course, easy stuff. Well, Brandon Graham then publicly said that things have changed with A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts' relationship recently, and there are things that need to be worked out. Graham later apologized for making those comments publicly, but the cat has been out of the bag. So we will see how much that keeps up this week as far as the narrative that's following this Eagles team. The Flyers take on the Blue Jackets up in Columbus tonight at 7 p.m. You can hear that game live here on 97.5 The Fanatic. And the Philadelphia Phillies signed closer Jordan Romano yesterday to a one-year deal. Romano was an all-star in 22 and 23 with the Blue Jays. We'll talk to Amy Fadul coming up for the entire 9 o'clock hour. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Bill Colarulo. When you
Kincade Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic. I hope you had a safe driving to work today. And it is a Tuesday, which means for the remainder of the show, for the entire 9 o'clock hour, we're joined by the great Amy Fadul. Amy, good morning.
Good morning.
Amy didn't kill any rabbits on the way to work.
Oh, dude,
No.
why you gotta
Like
bring,
Andrew did.
Why you got to bring that up?
Yeah, I heard that.
Why you got to bring that up?
Just
an innocent little bunny.
It's an
Just
innocent
trying to
little
make
bunny,
it through to Easter.
Just trying to get through to Easter,
But-
and you ran him down.
But here's the problem. I'm wondering.
I think it's because he disagreed with you on your passing hot take.
Well, no, Connor better watch himself
Exactly.
when he's out in the
The dangerous parking lot.
Before.
But what John didn't say in the beginning of the show is weird. The universe is trying to message me somehow.
Think so.
I leave my house. I turn down the street that goes toward the exit of the neighborhood, and a rabbit ran across the street. I avoided it. Swerved, avoided it. I then turn out of my neighborhood, get on the main road, and hit a rabbit. So 2 rabbits in a span of...
Are you sure it wasn't the same bunny?
No, not even close. Like,
Okay.
I was too far away.
He's just really coming to get you. They can be fast, I've heard.
They can be, yes.
The rabbit from Monty Python, if anybody gets what I'm saying there. You guys didn't even know the movie reference I made last week.
We know the rabbit from Monty Python.
All right, just making sure.
That one.
All right, Amy, so you're joining us for the remainder of the show.
Yes.
And what we love about you is that you always just jump right in.
That I do, my friend.
It's also because you're an incredible journalist and you follow along with everything that is going on in Philadelphia sports. So you know what took place Sunday when the Eagles beat the Panthers and A.J. Brown was upset with the passing offense. You also know that Brandon Graham did a little bit of a media hit yesterday.
And then he had to come back out.
Talked about the two of them and then sent the text to all the reporters. Tim McManus tweeted it out. We asked Jeff McLane. He got the exact same text. He just did not tweet out the thread. We'll start off with our question we've asked the audience. Are you concerned at all that this could be some sort of derailment of the season?
No. I mean, Jalen Hurts is the godfather of, A.J. Brown's kids. I think that, if anything, it could be one of those things that, all right, let's talk about it type of vibe. Maybe something has been simmering and it needed to come to a head. But I think it would be really tough to derail something that's been going as well. I think derail is too strong of a word. I think maybe, it could certainly cause an issue, and I think it did cause an issue. I think you can't say a one-word answer, like what's going on, and you just say passing. Like, you can't say that.
Right.
You can't say that and not think that there's going to be any blowback. But I feel like they're on such solid ground, the two of them, that it would take a lot more than just a little snippet comment.
We want honesty from athletes all the time, and you interview a ton of them. Is his answer not the other day just not – do you put it more towards being visceral, just off the field in the moment, or do you think that was calculated?
I think there was a little bit more behind it. Yes, I think that there is a certain knee-jerk reaction to it of like, of course, you want to know what's wrong with the offense, and I'm here to tell you. But I think that obviously it had been in the back of his mind. And you look at the All-22, and I know we've seen a lot of the plays. There are plays where he was wide open.
Yeah.
And it's hard to watch, and I'm sure they've watched it plenty in the last couple of days. But no, I mean, it'll be interesting to talk to Kellen Moore today. I'm headed down there as soon as I'm done with you guys and hear what he has to say, and I'm sure it'll be at the forefront.
Sure.
And it wasn't a surprise to me that they were going to kind of force feed a little bit of Devontae, given the fact that he'd been out, to get him back on the same page. And I think that there was some of that to the detriment. And I think that if there was a conversation to be had, it was with AJ, like, hey, listen, Devontae's back out on the field. Like, we're just going to try to get him the ball just maybe a little bit more. Maybe that conversation needed to happen. Maybe it happened afterwards. I'm not really sure. But I feel like that was kind of the thinking when I looked at it. Some of the balls, I thought, all right, well, the touchdown that Devontae got, AJ could have easily gotten it too. Maybe it was one of those cases of like, let's get him back in the mix. But I don't think it was calculated in the fact that he's like, I'm going to throw the passing game under the bus. But I think it was something that had been kind of festering a little bit.
Well, and that's, I want to get back to the festering part, because we've spoken to a couple of reporters so far that have said they believe that this is brewing. Andrew DeCecco said it. E.J. Smith joined the best show ever yesterday and talked about it. And this has led to probably the majority of our conversation today about whether or not A.J. Brown was in the right to say what he had to say. And I'm not disagreeing with him that the passing game needs to improve, but it almost sounded like he was upset with the lack of targets that he's getting. But how many targets are you expecting when you're throwing the ball only 20 times a game?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think his beef really was more that the passing game is not as featured. I mean, you guys, Connor was going over the numbers, and I agree with him in the fact that you do need to be a little bit more pass happy. I think you cannot have these games where you have 20 passes total. You can't go 11 for 20, 10 for 19. That's not a complete game for me. That's not a complete offense. And I think that the beef is overall. But, yeah, it's going to come out as sour grapes and be like, oh, well, there's 20 passes and I got 2. I mean, that's just the nature of the beef.
Sunday was egregious. So, I'm not absolving Jalen of any of that. But, the previous game, Hurts only threw the ball 19 times.
Exactly.
And 6 of those targets went to A.J. Brown. So,
he's going to want that. He's going to want that percentage, though, every time. I mean, he's a number 1.
Right, correct.
Is it sustainable? Is the way that they're winning games so reliant on the run sustainable when we're talking about winning in January in South Philly?
So I think that's a 2-part question. It's sustainable for the regular season, yes. Is it sustainable really is the bigger question in the postseason. That's the biggest question because everything gets tight. Everything tightens up in the playoffs. And I think that the only reason I seem to think it could work better than it would normally is because of how well they've done it. Because now you're looking at 9 straight wins. Normally, I would say absolutely not. You need to have at least 330 passing yards in order to win in this league. It's a passing league. That's ridiculous. But they've perfected it, and it's certainly been done before. And just because you're going to pass a bunch through the air, you're opening yourself up to a little bit more mistake. And so I do think it is sustainable in the regard that this team has learned how to win this way. But normally, I'd have been like, no, there's no way. You got to throw it 350
right, but they're so
yards.
good at it. And that's why I'm okay with that. And that's been another big topic of conversation. Look, I get it. Patrick Mahomes has won Super Bowls throwing the ball 40 times. Jalen Hurts isn't Patrick Mahomes, and I don't want.
Patrick Mahomes has also won games not throwing the ball that well.
Right,
he's not having
true.
a better year than Jalen Hurts.
But I mean,
it's amazing.
He also does.
Part of the reason why I wanted them to do this kind of offense was because I'm not trying to diminish what Jalen Hurts can do, but he's not one of those quarterbacks. He's not Josh Allen.
You're trying to make him a game manager, which we've talked about is not a 4-letter word. There's nothing wrong with it.
We don't think it is. No.
Are they winning?
Yeah,
that's
all that really matters.
And they're winning because of this. Ever since they flipped to this style of offense, they've won 9 straight games. The 2-2 start, a lot of the losses, of the 2 losses, he was turning the football over in those games.
Even the win, the Packers win.
Yeah,
it's just it wasn't. You didn't look at that and think, wow, that's sustainable.
The Saints win.
No, exactly.
That's the one of the. Isn't that
you didn't
the game
think
that
those
he threw
things
for
were
300 yards?
I didn't think that was sustainable.
That was a horrible game for them offensively, and he threw for 300.
Let's do it this way, real quick. Sorry, because Amy said something interesting. They've perfected the way that they're winning football games right now. The running, the strong defense, they have that down to a T, and they're not going to forget that. But once you've perfected something or gotten it to this level, shouldn't you want to add something else to your game? Zach Wheeler still adds pitches to his arsenal, even though he's unbelievable. When you have things that you do well, it doesn't mean that you're comfortable neglecting things that you might need, and it feels like they've neglected the passing game a little bit.
But then the question is that...
Are you messing with it?
But is that the team, and I know this is hard for people to hear sometimes. Is that the team telling you, hey, this is what we think we need to do with Jalen? Is that the team?
I think that's what they are telling.
It's not radio host, Andrew Salciunas, 0 athletic ability anymore.
I'd give you 1%.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Small.
It's Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni, the guys that are making this game plan. They're going, hey, for us to win, Jalen needs to do less. That's not me saying it. I did say it, but that's the coach saying it.
The numbers say that.
Right.
The numbers say that. The numbers show you what they want to do with this offense. They don't want to make it super complicated. They don't want him out there to do too much and think too much of all right, well, now I have to force it here. We saw that already. We saw that even when they had changed the offense initially. You saw it in the Browns game. You saw it in the Jaguars game, certainly. Don't do too much.
Right.
I go back to that line from Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Do less.
Yes.
Do less.
The work.
Yeah, just let the board work for you, okay? Let the offense work for you. Why are we overthinking this? And this is why, and I know you guys have heard it too, the national media, you wanted to fire, Nick Sirianni after 4 games. Okay, yeah, well, he was not very good.
Right.
Even after 6 games, he wasn't very good. We all saw that. Now, we're trying to, fiddle with Jalen Hurts when he's won 9 straight games. We just want nice things, and we're not used to having them. So we don't want to look the gift horse in the mouth.
What about the defense? I'm watching that whole game Sunday afternoon, and I'm saying, this isn't a really great day for the defense. And then you look up at the end, it's 16 points.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Even when they're not at their best, the pass rush, the secondary, they still manage to. That's what I'm most emboldened by with this team.
Yeah, it'll be interesting this week because they should be able to get after the quarterback I think it's another opportunity. I think they've got some really good opportunities to really embolden themselves with confidence. And I think that they should have picked up their biggest confidence in the Ravens game. That, to me, is their biggest defensive win.
Sure.
Yes, because you're going to let the Ravens score, and that's fine. But you held them when you needed to. You limited them when you needed to. And Bryce Young's a dynamic quarterback. There's no doubt about it. You certainly saw flashes of who he can be. He showed you exactly who he is and the fact that he's a rookie and young and whatever else. But that he still makes those rookie type of mistakes, no matter how long he's been playing football. It's just one of those things that I thought, all right, the defense showed me enough to realize, even when, like you said, John, even when they're not on their game, there's enough there that they can rely on. I think that comes from confidence in the fact that they've been building to that point. So when they do have an off game, they're fine. And I think that can carry over to the offense as well. Yeah. Even when they're not having a great game, we're still going to find a way to win.
All right, last thing before we get to some of our callers and texters, because the people have been ready to talk today, Amy. And a lot of it is because we are the enemy, the evil media. So I want to ask you this question.
I didn't realize we were evil.
For whatever reason, what took place Sunday, the comments made by A.J. Brown and then the comments made by Brandon Graham yesterday, it's not their fault. It's the media's fault for blowing it out of proportion. I'm confused as to why sometimes it's let's blame the media. And I'm not trying to do like a woe is me thing. It's just, guys, how come we can't hold our favorite players accountable? Just like we would hold our loved ones accountable, how come we don't hold our players accountable? I didn't say what Brandon Graham said. I didn't say what A.J. Brown said. And yet it's you guys are blowing this out of proportion. And that's something I don't get.
The comments.
So,
yeah,
your thoughts?
The thing is, they say it to the media, and our job is to record that and to play it back.
Correct.
Now, there are people that will say you'll take it out of context. There is nothing to take out of context when it's a one-word answer. You take it for what it is. If you infer something, that's on you.
Right.
But the answer and the demeanor in which it was delivered was clear. There's no doubt about that. Brandon Graham goes on and says these things out loud in a recorded microphone session.
Yes.
So it's like, I get it. It's the low-hanging fruit. It's easy to be like, well, you guys are blowing it out of proportion. Okay, we're literally just telling you what happened. This is what happened. Brandon Graham spoke on A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. Press play.
Bang.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's all you do.
And nobody set him up for it.
No,
like it wasn't a setup of, hey, here's a gotcha question.
Seems like there's some trouble going on.
Right.
It wasn't anything like that. It wasn't anything like that. It was just like, hey, this has been happening.
If it's being blown out of proportion, why did he feel the need to, I got to quickly send a text to all these people?
He had to limit the damage. I mean, BG is a highly respected player, both in the media and in that locker room. And I think he realized, like, oh, mea culpa. And they all get one or two or 17. I don't care. It's Brandon Graham. He can do and say whatever he wants. They all have done it. They've all said things that they probably wish had come out differently. He was probably just trying to clear the air and be like, hey, listen, this happens. He's been in the league 15 plus years, right? This happens every season, even when things are going well. I think that was the vibe he was trying to give out. And then when it comes across a way, he's like, oh, my bad.
When you talk about the personal, just the personal relationships, I just don't like it when someone else talks about someone else's personal relationship.
Right.
Let them talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that
when he offers that up about Jalen and AJ's personal relationship, I'm like, let them speak on their personal relationship.
I feel like he, as the leader in the locker room, I think he feels that like he can do that. He's earned that kind of
right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he has a right.
Which you can disagree with.
I don't like it.
Yeah, which is fine.
I just think that it's taking someone else's private business and making it your own publicly.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, right. But if there's a guy on this team that can do it, he's the guy.
No
probably
question.
That's it.
No
Jason
question.
Kelsey would have been a guy that you would have been like, you wouldn't have even batted an eye.
And I go back. I said this early in the 6 o'clock hour. Maybe this was BG because BG has said, I'm going to try to find a way to lead, even though I'm not on the field.
Yeah, and he's trying to get in the mix and trying to help it smooth everything over.
He
Obviously,
did
not smooth over. It's probably the last time he'll do anything like this.
It got very
It's also
bumpy.
the first time you've heard him. So he's like, well, all right, well, I tried something new. Going to not do that one again.
Yeah, we could kick that one out of the rotation.
That's all done.
All right, let's go to Mike on the cell. He wants to talk about everything. What's up, Mike? Yo, Mike. All right, let's try T-Love. T-Love, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, what's up? Hey, Amy Fadul, thank you for bringing sense to the sausage factory.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Listen.
Very nice.
Listen.
Why is it a sausage factory?
Come on, T-Love,
A
get
bunch
to
of
it.
dudes here. Come on.
Come on, fellas. Let me talk. All right, he threw the ball 21 times. He completed 14 passes. Okay, and he didn't throw the ball. I know 300 yards, 400 yards, 5 touchdowns. That's a great thing to have, but he's not throwing the ball in volume enough to get those kind of numbers. Okay, you got to understand that. Should he be a little better in his decision making? Yes.
Yes.
Should A.J. Brown be a little less concerning about how many times he's getting the ball? Yes, we all agreed, okay, and this is what they said earlier, the shine is going to Saquon right now, okay? Now, you got to wonder, is there a little bit of maybe sour grapes or, a little lemon drop there sometime? Maybe, because Jalen is not getting the shine. Okay, he's to take a back seat to the running back. Already, Smith has to take a back seat to Brown, and he doesn't complain about not getting the ball. Now, are they playing? This is not last year, and this is what kills me, man. When people start comparing last year to this year, this is a totally different year.
Right.
Then we're in complete agreement.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you have a mandate, okay, and that's what it sounds like when I hear, you spent the whole offseason trying to make me hate the quarterback, and now here you go, redirected.
The quarterback did that to himself.
Didn't try to do anything to you, T-Love.
Stop
Come on,
it.
dude.
That's where it ends. Stop it. The quarterback had to literally be like, they cleaned this up with Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, that was real.
Come on, stop it.
That was real.
That's up to that point. I agree with everything T-Love said. Like
and then you lost him.
We didn't create the Sirianni Jalen Hurts
they created
relationship.
They created it themselves.
Yeah.
And again, this goes back to the media thing. Like, why is it? Oh, we try to make you hate Jalen Hurts. No, we didn't. I like Jalen Hurts.
We like Jalen Hurts.
I'm not trying to make you hate the guy. It's the same thing with this now with the Brandon Graham thing. Oh, here we go. The media's going to blow us out of proportion. We didn't start it. They said it.
An open microphone. You just open the microphone and say, if it was a gotcha question, like Amy had said there.
Yeah, if you'd led up to it, like, hey, there's some trouble brewing in the
I hear there's trouble brewing.
What's going on with that? So then you've opened it up, and he could have chosen not to answer that, which would have been fine. But it was an open-ended, kind of just a soliloquy almost.
Wow.
Which is fine.
Yeah,
it
it's
happened.
fine.
Now, again,
they're winning.
A.J. Brown had the right to be upset that he was wide open and Hurts has to make those throws.
Think that the exception I've taken is some of the connotation out there that it was him. And I've seen that, it's like being like Alec Boehm, the team's winning and you're not getting. No, I don't think it's like that. I think he's right to be frustrated because he is a number one receiver. And listen, if there's one thing that being around football players, and I know you guys have experienced it, receivers are divas. They're the first ones to tell you are divas.
Yeah.
Jason Avant is the least diva person in the history of the world. He's the first person to say we are all divas, meaning receivers. That's how we operate. We want the ball. We want to showcase. I get it. It's fine. Ego is fine. There's nothing wrong with ego. I just feel like when it's been turned into, for some people, thinking that he's, I want them. I think he knows that the passing game is how they're going to win. He wants to be more involved because if he's involved, good things happen. I think that it's as simple as that. And I think that that's the fact. If he is involved, good things are happening because he's probably going to get you 40 yards on a single pass.
Yes. Yeah, that slant route, that's unstoppable. They barely.
There was one he was like,
that they barely
he was 50 yards past, and I thought, there's no one with it. Okay.
Yeah.
But let's
he's got to
do
pull
the quick
trigger.
drop. Like, come on.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to continue this conversation coming up next. I also have a question that I want to run by you guys about something the Eagles could potentially do in 2 weeks.
Oh.
But I wonder if you would like them to do it. All right? That's called a radio tease.
It is.
Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Drama with the Birds. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update's brought to you by Corona. Want to win tickets to a Sixers game? Enter for your chance to win at the Fanatics Corona Sixers pregame party events happening all season long, hosted by our man, Andrew Salciunas. For details, go to the events page on 975thefanatic.com. The Eagles have a little bit of drama hitting them early this week as they're coming off the win over the Carolina Panthers on Sunday. The 11-2 record looks great. The 9-game win streak is incredibly impressive. The postseason berth has already been clinched, and yet there are questions about the passing game after the matchup with the Panthers. And A.J. Brown said on Sunday that passing has been an issue with the offensive side of the ball. Nick Sirianni talked about that yesterday.
It's no secret that we weren't up to our standard in that area yesterday, and so it's just going back to work. What I do know, I love that guys care. That just leads into getting better.
So everyone's on the same page with that the passing attack could be better. But where this gets tricky is Brandon Graham coming out last night and saying that things have changed with A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts' relationship, and there are some things that need to be worked out. Graham later apologized for making the comments publicly, but it's something now that we have to consider as far as the relationship between wide receiver 1 and QB 1. Something to keep an eye on for sure. The Flyers take on the Blue Jackets up in Columbus tonight, 7 p.m. You can hear that game live here on The Fanatic. The Phillies signed closer Jordan Romano to a 1-year deal yesterday in free agency. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni on their win over Carolina.
more of Kincade Salciunas is presented to you by The Bagster. It's a dumpster in a bag. You can get yours today at Home Depot and Lowe's. You need details? Go to Bagster.com.
It is 9:30 on Kincade and Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic on a Tuesday, which means Amy Fadul is with us for the rest of the show today. Amy, thank you as always for joining us.
Of course.
We appreciate it. All right, quick sidestep from getting back to what we've been talking about for 3.5 hours today. And it was the comments made by Brandon Graham. And then, A.J. Brown, was he in his right to make the comments originally after the game on Sunday? I was looking up the NFL playoff picture today, specifically the NFC playoff picture. And this is almost like a Sophie's Choice kind of question.
Mm-hmm.
But I noticed something that is still possible. And I'm not talking about the 1 seed. I'm still talking about the 2 seed. The Commanders, right now, if the season ended today, would be the final wild card team. And the Eagles would miss the playoffs.
Yeah, I see what you're doing.
And who's right behind them?
The Rams.
The team that just put up 44 points against the Bills and know how you defended them earlier this year.
I see where you're going with
Who
this.
would you rather face, Commanders or Rams, if you had the choice?
Listen, I remember having this conversation in a completely different scenario about the Sixers, which is just hilarious to think about right now.
Because it doesn't matter. They're going to lose.
Can you set up who you want? And I asked Jim Lynam, a former coach, Mark Jackson, former player, and both of them. I might as well have taken a mirror and broken it in front of them and had a black cat go under the ladder and then jump on them. They looked at me and said, if you start doing that, you're messing with mojo. You're just messing. Don't do it. Mark was like, we tried to do that one time when I was with the Timberwolves. We got blown out. We lost our first playoff series. We didn't win a single game.
Okay.
He's like, you don't ever win it. So I will defer to them.
Well, I'm not saying lose on purpose. What I'm basically saying is
you kind of are.
You kind of are.
So here's the Commanders' remainder schedule: Saints, Eagles, Falcons, Cowboys at the Saints. But I still think that they will win. It coming off a bye, by the way. The Commanders had their bye week last week.
I think that's going to be a hard game.
Okay. And then the Rams have Niners, which you saw what they did the other day on a short week.
Right.
Jets, Cardinals, Seahawks. So they're playing a couple teams in their division.
That are in their fight, and they're also fighting.
Rams aren't getting 10.
You don't think the Rams are going to get 10 wins?
No,
they would have to go.
Rams are going to go 9. Rams are going to go. Rams are going to go 9 and 8. They got to win 3 or 4 at the 49ers, at the Jets. They can get that one versus the Cardinals versus the Seahawks.
Oh yeah, no.
I don't think they're winning.
They'll win 2.
I don't
think
I think they win 2.
Yeah.
So that means the Commanders need to win 2. If they win the Saints game, they get the Falcons at home and the Cowboys on the road.
Right.
It'll take care of itself.
They're going to get to 10. They're going to take care of themselves.
All right. Well, you're deferring. John, Commanders or Rams first round? Who would you rather have?
Commanders all day long.
Connor?
Yeah, it's Commanders.
I don't want those two receivers with Matt Stafford, who's already won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Who's gonna sling it for 275? Whatever.
You take who you get. Do not mess with the juju.
I ain't messing with.
There you go. Juju Smith-Schuster.
We'll definitely don't mess with him.
Yeah,
he's terrible.
I don't like
We learned
him
that too.
at all.
Now.
All right, I'm curious. Let's go to this call. Terrell in Philly. What's up, T?
Hey, how's everybody doing?
What's up, T.O.?
I do feel that the media, not you guys specifically, but there are people out here that's blowing it out of proportion. Like I've seen some people talk about we need to trade A.J. Brown.
Who said that?
Those are crazy people.
Who said that?
T.O. all over again. Like I'm turning on the TV talking about this is T.O. McNabb all over again.
What TV are you watching?
Yeah, he just wants to be great, man. He just wants to be one of the best, and that's all I think it is. Like he wants to be the best, probably. And
I just don't believe. I don't believe anyone actually feels that way. If anybody's saying that, that's ridiculous.
You know how these hot takes of people are.
Yeah, is that
why? What it is.
Is that why you come to us, Daryl?
Yeah. And that's
to just not have to listen to that crap. That's good.
I want to get a normal Philadelphia perspective. That's why I got
good job.
Got y'all on right now.
Damn right. And that's what we try to bring to you guys, and we're proud of it. Thanks, T. We appreciate it. Like, look,
I don't think anybody thinks it's a T.O.
No.
Like that's crazy.
No, because T.O. was
an island
and slightly mental.
Yeah.
He literally dog cussed me out in a TGI Fridays in Orlando.
Well, the thing is,
because he thought,
but you didn't care because he was so good.
He was so
I'm
good.
convinced right now that he could get out there and catch at least 5 passes in an NFL game.
If Jalen throws it to him.
He didn't like the
I didn't say Jalen was playing with him.
He had that statue made of himself.
Of course he did.
Connor would do this. It's the only person that I know, CT.
CT and
that would
T.O.
have the statue made of themselves in the foyer of their home in Atlanta.
That'd be cool.
And we would talk about it on the air, the statue of who's doing the nude statue of them in your house. And
I'm sorry. There's no clothes on the statue?
There's no clothes on the statue.
Oh, he's got a...
There was no clothes on the statue. And so we
in
talked
his
about
own home?
And the thing is, he opened it up to the media to see it.
Of course he did.
And he did crunches in front of it.
So what's the point of it if you're not going to show it?
We talked about it and had fun with it and everything, and then we crossed paths down at Braves spring training, and he dog cussed me out in a TGI Fridays. Of all places. I'm surprised Iverson wasn't.
That one.
Those two are tight, though. He showed up at Iverson's statue unveiling.
Absolutely.
But
but his had clothes on it.
But we're also talking about
Oh, 'cause it was
T.O.
outside.
Let's not act like McNabb wasn't a part of the problem, too. Like,
no, he was.
Jalen Hurts is... if anybody's going to squash this...
Jalen.
And Jalen's already learned from squashing things because he had to squash the Nick Sirianni thing, too. Both of them had to. It wasn't just a Jalen thing. But, yeah, I mean, look, nobody's saying that AJ
Nobody's saying this. By the way, too,
If they are, they're just doing it to get clicks. That's ridiculous.
And you've heard this, and you know this. A.J. Brown is not in any way, shape, or form.
No.
Terrell Owens.
No.
In fact, he's almost the almost the opposite.
Yeah. No, I would say he's a 180 from
Yes.
No. Skill-wise.
No, skill-wise, it's fantastic, sure.
You can give him that, but no.
No.
I think AJ is a great teammate. I think he's always been described as such. I think he's a guy that cares passionately about football, about his play on the field. I think he cares a lot about his teammates on and off the field. I've known people that when I worked in Nashville that covered him when he was there and just glowing
Correct.
comments about him.
The tough thing, though, and our last caller, Terrell, brings it up, the media and where he's hearing stuff from. Like, media to people...
It's an open term now.
Exactly.
Yeah, there
There's
could be
so
a
much.
podcast host that's just saying this nonsense. And
So when people say, like, oh, the media is perpetuating this narrative, it doesn't have to mean it's sports talk radio. It doesn't have to mean it's TV. It could be some guy with a podcast that 12 people listen to.
I would say if you don't have or you're not eligible to have a credential, you're not media.
Right, you would say, but...
That's what it is. You're not media at that point.
But I mean, people consume media. And,
So
I mean,
many
it's called
different ways.
social media, is it not?
And that's
There
different.
you go.
That's a good point.
Twitter.
Let's go to Colby in Central PA. What's up, Colby?
Hello.
What's up,
Hi,
man?
Cole.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good, man.
Hey, my points are like, who's to say that? I mean, we got to prepare for the next team, but how about they have to prepare for us?
I like
Who
your
has stopped
attitude.
Saquon Barkley?
I like your attitude.
You know?
though. It's the truth.
And I also think Hurts is confused. How many different things have they asked him to do? Over the past couple of years, you're throwing it too much, too many screens. Okay, hand it off. Throw it down the field. Don't throw it down the field. Throw it outside the numbers. Throw it across the middle. Too many interceptions. Go shotgun.
Yeah, but that's a quarterback. But that's a quarterback.
That's what
Colby.
you're supposed to do.
Now I will agree with you if you say
It's different
it
voices.
may be in his head, hey, don't turn the ball over, because that was such an emphasis early on in the season that he was turning the ball over too much. He was in conversations with Will Levis, and so maybe he is hesitant, but that's on him to get over that hesitation.
I think the coaches have to step up too with the passing conversation. I think the coaches have to be like, "Here's what we want you to do. I'll do this over here."
Yeah, but you don't think they're doing that? They're doing that. They're doing that in the meeting rooms throughout the week, and it is simplified. AJ Brown's wide open, and here's the thing, Colby, and thanks for the call, man.
Get off the treadmill next time.
Hurts he's working. Hurts' eyes were on AJ. Like everybody that does these all 22s, like it's one thing for me to just say I could say it. Dan Orlovsky yesterday did a film breakdown of that
you
play.
can see
that
it on the all
everyone's talking
22.
about. He's staring at him, and he's staring at him, and he's wide open. He hesitated because I think the turnovers are on his head. And then he goes, "Oh, I'm not going to pull the trigger."
And I respect him for fixing the problem that he was having. But you got to let that ball fly Sunday. And the Sunday isn't the first time.
I don't think this Sunday is maybe the time to do it coming up.
Against the Steelers?
Yeah.
I got to tell you, it's going to be you got to get that ball.
There is no hesitation
I don't think I'd
allowed
let
in
it
this
fly.
one.
I think you much more manage this one. Give me some of the 10-yard
short
patterns
routes.
and 8-yard out routes.
You mean the slants to A.J. Brown?
The slants to
That'd
A.J.
be
Brown.
beautiful.
That seemed to work all the time.
A go route maybe one, but it is a little concerning. That defense is a little concerning.
Yeah, I wouldn't see.
Maybe in 2 weeks you can air it out.
Yeah, I'm not asking for many
DJ
shots
Watt.
downfield in this
But
one.
I hear your point.
Very nice. It's good to be heard.
Exactly.
It is good to be heard.
My wife will tell me that
microphone
sometimes.
helps.
I hear what you're saying, but we're not
But
doing
I'm not listening
We're
to
not
it.
doing that.
There's a
but I
difference
hear
between
what you're
hearing
saying.
it and listening to it. I can hear you. I'm not going to listen to you.
All right, Amy, real quick. There's a game that we're playing, and I think John has already told you about it. Will the Sixers have more wins than the
Yes, I know
Eagles
about this.
On January
And I said
through January 4th.
It was not going to happen.
So through January 4th, we're expecting the Eagles to have what, 14 wins?
13 minimum.
We're going to have 13 minimum. All right.
No, Sixers are going to get
The Sixers are at 7.
Yep.
And they have winnable games, but then again, those teams might look at the Sixers and say this is also a winnable game. But if you give them both Hornets games, the Jazz game.
What about the Pacers game on Friday? Can't give them that one?
One of the Pacers games they'll probably win.
No, there's only one Pacers game.
Oh, I thought there were two in the
Hornets.
stretch. Oh, well, okay.
Well,
two
so
Hornets.
here's the thing. If I say Pacers and 2 Hornets, that means they're on a 5-game winning streak.
Stop it.
I'm just saying, is this team 5-game winning streak
I think that
worthy?
they can win 7 more games before January 4th.
Look, Connor and I already put
Well, then they would
our
win.
money down there.
They would win that
I
date.
said that when you said that.
I don't believe it will happen.
Listen, that's a win-win, though. Right? Because then if you win, you're excited. But if you don't win, then the Sixers
That
win.
is great
And that's
news.
a win-win.
That's true.
See that?
Hey, JoJo looked
See?
good the other night. Afternoon.
19 points
Can you
in
believe
one
they
quarter.
put out? Can you believe they put out a tweet? We're so back.
They are back.
Stop it.
They have returned to the court.
Stop it.
All right, coming up next, the
So
Kincade
back.
Salciunas Key 3 and another segment with Amy Fadul on this Tuesday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Matvey Michkov.
Back into the corner to Michkov.